Hey, this is a shout out to the whole.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así.
Thank you, God, for this day. We have lived everything in our life, our health, our family, the guidance you have given us, allow us guidance to the path of righteousness. Amen.
Really, I'ma get that bitch. Revenge is a dish best served cold. She took my son, now my soul is cold. He took my daddy, now my soul is old.
Yeah, man.
That's hot shit right there, man.
So what we gonna do? We gonna dub.
King Chaka ENT. Y'all can check out the music on Spotify, Apple, and other services. Doing what we do 3 to 4 nights a week. King Chaka ENT.
I got this.
From the
She
back
starts
seat.
shooting.
That dude was like, ow.
What was that?
Outside the car,
That nigga
deputies'
got
body
popped.
cameras capturing the bullets flying through the air.
We got shots fired
couldn't
up
have been
here.
a straight
We need
shot. It had
backup
to be-
immediately. Start
Are you-
EMS. Start EMS.
What
We got
the
a
fuck?
civilian. We got a civilian hit.
The deputy.
Looks like we got us another hit.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, an educated public cannot be controlled. Learn to be active. The views and events expressed here are totally whack and are not necessarily the views of anyone. Supernatural in Israel is what I want to talk about. Before I get to it, I just want to say, you guys are open to join the show. I hear a lot of people talking that they want to, try to start a podcast or they want to do a podcast. They want to talk about politics or whatever. And it's tough to do this. It really is. And it costs money and time. And a lot of people just don't really have that. So, but you have an opportunity to come here on this show and share your thoughts, share your political views or whatever. Nobody's going to cut you off. We're going to let you talk. We're going to let you get your side out or whatever, whatever you want to talk about. I'll give you time to share it if you join the show. So it's an opportunity for you guys. And it's really surprising to me how few people take me up on it. I offer it to them all the time, and then they say, yeah, they're interested or whatever, but then they don't ever join. I don't really understand that. I guess people are afraid, whatever.
I will cut your ass off. Come on here with some stupid shit. And of course, stupid shit is, I guess, kind of hard to because you expressing your point or on something. Okay, no, that's fine, that's fair. But if you come on here trying to sell somebody a crock of shit or some bull, I don't know, like it's just certain things I don't think is worthwhile for anybody. And when we hear that, yeah. But if you come on with a genuine, you really like, you coming with a genuine heart, you in here, you with us
all day. What's up, G? I don't know who this is. Diggs BTW7. What's up? I don't know. I have no idea. New person, maybe. Yeah. I want to read some of this.
I was trying to look at it to see if it was somebody I knew, but it went too fast. But
what here? It's Diggs BTW7.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
Let me read some of this. I want to read some more out of this magazine. Life Explores the Science of the Supernatural. So they were talking about the multiverse. I really was looking for that, but I can't. Oh, there it is. But hold on. I want to go to UFOs and let me read this. It says, "What else is out there? Our fears of alien attacks and fascination with UFO mysteries have advanced hand in hand with a scientific quest to understand our universe." It says, "What else is out there? UFOs unbound. The drive to make sense of strange sightings is more transparent than ever after recent congressional hearings." It says, "For decades, American military pilots have claimed to have seen fast-moving craft that appear to defy the known laws of physics. Some of these aerial incursions took place near nuclear power plants and naval ships. In 2009, concerned about the possibility that these unknown craft could be next-generation Russian or Chinese jets, Senators Harry Reid and Daniel Inouye, Ted Stevens got the Pentagon to set up the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program. The program looked into reports of airships that seemed to hover without any apparent means of lift, as well as those that could move quite fast without a sign of propulsion. It also studied video footage of unknown objects, including one recording made in 2004 by two Navy FA-18F Super Hornet jets that tracked a large oval object off the coast of San Diego. The Pentagon program ran until 2012 when it was discontinued without explanation. The AATIP was among the most recent of more than half a century of government efforts to understand what people have been witnessing since 1947. In that year, amateur pilot Kenneth Arnold was flying near Mount Rainier in Washington in a single prop called Air Model A when he saw 9 objects streaking faster than the speed of sound, a feat not achieved until a few months later by Colonel Chuck Yeager. More such accounts came to light, and fearing these craft might be Soviet, the U.S. force in 1948 started Project Sign to investigate. This was followed by Project Grunge. Then in 1952, Project Blue Book was launched. It cataloged 12,618 sightings, grouping them as their identified, caused by unknown human atmospheric or astronomical phenomena, or unidentified. Some 701 of the flying objects were unidentified. Let me read a little bit more. Around this time, Americans became obsessed with the idea of UFOs. In the early 1950s, the CIA set up a panel of physicists, astronomers, and rocket engineers headed by physicist Howard P. Robertson at Pasadena's California Institute of Technology. The Robertson panel interviewed military officers and those with Project Blue Book and reviewed photos of films of UFOs. They determined that 90% were explainable astronomical and meteorological phenomena, such as bright planets and meteors or aircraft, balloons, and birds. They concluded that there were no real evidence of a threat to national security. A little bit more. In 1996, more reviews of Project Blue Book were carried out, and in 1968, a study of 59 UFO sightings resulted in the Condon Report. Like the Robertson panel, it found no evidence of otherworldly phenomena. The following year, Project Blue Book was discontinued, the Secretary of the Air Force, Robert C. Siemens, Jr., writing that it no longer can be justified either on the ground of national security or in the interest of science. Many were not convinced, and what was seen as a lack of government transparency did not help. Some wondered about the 701 unexplained Blue Book sightings. Scientists, engineers, and investigators continued their own independent studies, most notably Northwestern University astronomer J. Allen Hynek, who had been involved with Project Blue Book. Convinced that some of the reports indicated the possible presence of alien visitors, Hynek in 1973 set up the Center for UFO Studies. It dispatched researchers to study the Roswell site, where many believe a UFO crash occurred in 1947. The center still carries out investigations from its base in Evanston, Illinois. So what do you think about the UFOs and stuff? Like, they came out. I was kind of waiting for them to say it because I know they're going to talk about it. Because recently they came out with a report that said, like, yeah, we have these evidence of these ships, and they really are UFOs because we don't know what the hell. And they
Well,
they came out and specifically said they're not Russian or Chinese or from another government.
yeah. I mean, I think it's very possible. I mean, the thing about that is I know they say that the moon landing was fake back in 68, 69, whenever that was. But I mean, Tesla is going to Mars and doing different stuff. So I mean, it would be the same thing if there was what he's doing would be a sighting in that on that planet, or it's I would say that it's at least possible. You know what I'm saying? And you also have to think about, like, this is something that has been said for thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not like a new phenomenon that, oh, all of a sudden here's these crafts that just show up here. Like, this is something that has been reported as sightings for thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? So I I don't know if it's really not to say it's nothing to get excited about, because I mean I do have interest in it, but I mean when it really boils down to it, I mean you got to at least give it credit that okay, there's some realness to it.
I think a lot of people wouldn't be surprised if it was just like, okay, yeah, those are UFOs, and when we say UFOs, we mean some kind of alien spacecraft. I think
Yeah,
I
I
think a
mean,
large amount of people would just be like, oh, okay.
okay, cool. What color was it? I mean, did you see it personally? What can you tell me about it? Like, then that's awesome. Like, I mean, like some people will actually have that conversation. Of course, there's some people who believe nothing. You know what I'm saying? Only what they're told by their bosses, their masters and stuff. But some of us really enjoy, having that, like even if it is, I mean, I don't believe that is a crock of crap. I believe it's real. But that's what really makes it even more fascinating is that um, you know, these things come about every so often. Not any and everybody gets to see it with their own eyes. You know what I'm saying? So, we do rely on, people who saw it because I mean, I've sat and watched videos for 2 or 3 hours of, there, somebody having an investigation, because I mean, you think about, okay, we see it here. Think about all the other countries in this on this planet that gets to see something like this on a regular basis. Like they said, like in the Bahamas, it's like all the time.
Hmm.
You know what
So
I'm saying?
yeah, it's super
Different
interesting
parts
to
of
me. Just freaking the idea of aliens, I always think about it. I'm super interested in it. And I don't know. It's just one of those things that I think that it's a weird thing to be obsessed with aliens. And the conclusion that I come to with that is that, we're the aliens. Like, I
well,
don't know, but I'm just
well,
saying we're super obsessed with the stars. We're obsessed with, the zodiacs and
I mean, it's all nature. That's the thing. That's the part that I think it's still, as no matter how scientific it might get, it still boils down to nature. It still, was built with something that came from the elements available to whatever that was. But the one of the things that I would even look at is that maybe that is us at a different time. Like it might be one of us that have slid through a portal that, like we talked about last night, and you know,
from a different
it's
time or a different dimension, and it's really just us.
yeah.
That's fucking interesting. Anyways, um, Associated Press, it says Pelosi to step down from White House. I'm sorry, Pelosi to step down from House leadership, but stay in Congress.
But why? Why? Well, yeah, she'll stay in Congress, but I guarantee you this is her last go round. Like her urgency to do some of the business things that she was doing was so that it would set herself up, and I think even her son. I don't know if she has more than that one son, but whoever that she can sustain going into the next generation, that's what she is trying to do. And now she's positioned herself well enough to where she'll be good, even if she lives another 20 years. She'll probably be super good. But I mean, I think that there's a lot of things that's going to be surfacing that she's going to try to push herself away from. Um, just like one of those things I sent you recently about the investigation against the what they call it, the BCF. Did you see that, the BCF?
BCF. No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Biden crime family.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's what they're saying. Yeah, I saw that. I want to get into that, but let me read this first right here. It says, this is Washington Associated Press. It says Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the attack on her husband Paul by an intruder in their family home made her think about staying on as House Democratic leader because she couldn't give them that satisfaction of intimidating her out of politics. But Pelosi said Thursday she was ready to step aside and felt balanced about her decision to make way for a new generation of leaders. She's staying as the Congresswoman of San Francisco, but has no plans to endorse a successor or meddle with the new leaders. I have no intention of being the mother-in-law in the kitchen, saying, my son doesn't like the stuffing that way. Pelosi said in a wide-ranging interview with reporters at the Capitol. They will have their vision, they will have their plan. As for the future direction of House Democrats, she said, that's up to them. I want to be whatever they want it to be. She said, I want it to be whatever they want it to be. Pelosi, who is 82, spoke to reporters in the Board of Education room, a historic space once frequented after hours only by the man in Congress. After she announced her decision to step down after 20 years as the party leader, 20 years, damn, her action followed the midterm elections that gave Republicans control of the House. It says, first elected in 1987, when there was just 12 Democratic women in Congress, Pelosi said she chose to wear white to deliver her speech on the House floor Thursday in a nod to the suffragettes, noting a painting of a woman with the 19th Amendment she had installed in the gilded meeting room alongside one of San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. Digging into a package of cookies, chocolate chip, of course, the speaker would not say exactly when she made her decision to step aside, probably right after her husband got hit with the hammer. She keeps a close hold on her most important decisions, and even now, once it had spilled out in the open, said how she finally arrived at her choice was something she might have to think more about. It was known that she took 2 versions of her speech home with her for review Wednesday night. Dang, so she wasn't even sure what she was going to say if she had 2 speeches. Hold on.
Well, most of them have speech writers.
Yeah, but they tell them what the hell they want.
Well, I mean, yeah, they'll give them,
like
I mean, they already know what's going on most cases. I mean, they following her most of the day. Or, I say follow, but, like, they know what the ins and outs of her, her journey, what she's doing. So, like, I don't think it's nothing crazy about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But I was just really just thinking, like, it's her leaving out of here. Like, honestly, I really want to see, like, I do want to see more women in the Senate, but I also like a certain type. Like I would like to see an Aboriginal Moor female in the Senate, like a bunch of them. Even I mean men as well, but because I think that like the black women that they've been choosing are not for us. The white, or the women, like a lot of the women that has been coming in there is not really, like I don't think they really have the same kind of like they don't care about the country as much as I think others. It's more personal, like what they can do for themselves, or it's just about the women. Like real women care about the men around too. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but
Like,
I would say that's true for like the majority of the House and the Senate,
well,
regardless of
well, I know, but I mean, I
gender
can't.
or.
I don't think. I think it'll be too much for me to ask for the entire Senate to be, you know, just Aboriginals and Moors. I'm just saying, like, we can get, at least some good representation in there because, like I said, I mean, a lot of the black women have been trained to not care about the men in their lives. That's like even their very own sons. Like that whole Willie Lynch thing has been sold on them that like you just pretty much prepare him and set him up to be, a good slave.
Let me
So
read some more of this one. It says, I quite frankly personally have been ready to leave for a while, she said, because there are things I want to do. I like to dance, I like to sing. There's a life out there, right?
you
Pelosi,
80. I'm sorry.
Pelosi said that after 20 years, I don't feel sad about not having a leadership position. I feel balanced about it. It says, she has said that the attack on Paul Pelosi, who suffered a fractured skull when an intruder broke into their home weeks before the election searching for her, had weighed on her decision. But she said Thursday that it had the opposite effect from what some had interpreted. It made me think again about staying, she said. I couldn't give them that satisfaction. Had Democrats been able to retain majority control of the House, she indicated that too might have prompted a different outcome. I would have prayed over it. Pelosi insisted she has much. Go ahead. What you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna ask when was this report put out? Because like I'm hearing other things that's going on that and maybe she's just trying to stick with they lie. I mean, or like unless the information other people have come up with is just not real. Like I don't know, but like they're saying like still like what happened at their house was crack of shit. Like it didn't happen nearly like what I don't know. Like it doesn't matter. I just feel
I
like
want to cover that too. I got a video on that. Jimmy Dore talked about it. It's freaking hilarious. So that's why I want to play it. Let me
okay.
read some more. It says Pelosi insisted she has much to do representing her California district, but said she won't likely be taking any committee assignments typically coveted by other lawmakers, particularly a seat on the Appropriations Committee that crafts federal funding bills that are important for states. And she plans to get to work reviewing the 2022 election results and preparing for the next big votes in 2024. Yeah, so if you think she ain't gonna be doing nothing, let me read some more. It says long.
She's got her hands full. Like she's already got a lot of stuff that she's got irons in the fire, and like I mean, shit. She's done. She's look. She should be satisfied, or at least somewhat tired with what some of the stuff that's going on. But whether she wants to admit it or not, her backing down from being leader has something to do with the attack or the supposed attack on her husband, and really was meant for her.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And but yeah, so like look how old she is though. Like, we have the
I
oldest.
she doesn't look that. I mean, I'm sure she done had some good, You know, they got some good
She looks
surgeons in
good. Like she
California.
looks like she's in good health and everything. Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
I would have said that she's, you know, in her late 60s, early 70s or something
yeah, I
like
didn't know
that.
she was 82. I did not know that.
Yeah,
But they said we have the oldest Congress like ever in history.
yeah, and that's
Like
why things are so crazy.
all
I
of them
mean,
like
we need people who are
70,
more
80
in
years
touch.
old.
We need more people who, I mean,
That's
because not to say that Alexandria or Ocasio Cortez is, you know, much greater, but at least like there will be more people. You know, if we had more people, younger people in the Senate, like all of the things that we are looking for, like the future that we want, not the future that old people want for us. You know what I'm saying? And you know, a lot of them not gonna have to live through it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the part that, you know, bothers me, is that people who are not gonna be here 20 years from now, 40 years from now, are still trying to control what's gonna happen in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You ain't gotta live with it. Get the hell
okay.
out.
Let's play this because I know this is what.
What we have uncovered. We're also sending letters to the Biden administration officials and Biden family associates renewing our request for voluntary production of documents relevant to this investigation. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, the president of the United States, and why he lied to the American people about his knowledge and participation in his family's international business schemes. National security interests require the committee conduct investigation, and we will pursue all avenues that have long been ignored. Committee Republicans have uncovered evidence of federal crimes committed by and to the benefit of members of the president's family. These include conspiracy or defrauding the United States, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, tax evasion, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality, from human trafficking to potential violations of the Constitution. In the 118th Congress, this committee will evaluate the status of Joe Biden's relationship with his family's foreign partners and whether he is a president who is compromised or swayed by foreign dollars and influence. I want to be clear. This is an investigation of Joe Biden. As such, this investigation will be a top priority.
Interesting. The caption, it says, let me read the caption. It says, Republicans put Biden crime family on notice in first press conference in majority. Best persecution you'll hear today. This committee will evaluate whether the president is compromised or swayed by foreign dollars. This is an investigation of Joe Biden.
Bro, like, I'm just a simple freaking truck driver. I don't know nothing. And I saw all of this before he got it, like, in detail, no, but like, there's just certain things, like, and I got a friend of mine. We probably won't talk again for a long time, because like all the stuff that he just mentioned, we had a conversation. I was like, dude, like, look at what his son's doing. Like, just having a, like, bro, when you was a, I guess you could say an ex criminal, like when you live around a bunch of criminals, like you can tie things together without somebody telling you that this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So like, why the hell? Like, how is it that? I mean, for some people, this is like surprising and appalling, and it's like, say y'all couldn't even say that about, like, this is after 2 years of him being in, well, I'll say as president, 2 years as president. But just think, like, this dude done been in office for damn near 60 years in one form or another, whether he was in the Senate, vice president, now president. Bro, this dude, he felt like he was untouchable.
Shit, I would say he is. Let me read the caption. This is Red Pill posted this. He says, Oh, yeah, they setting the stage for Act 3 in this political theater. Trump running on the promise to send trappers to death row. Joe and Hunter Biden about to get the RICO. FTX Democrat donor scandal. Bombs over Poland. Nazis in Ukraine. Whew, November ain't over yet.
What? You ain't lying. I mean, shoot, we just getting started.
It's a
Look
lot
like
going on, man.
it's a whole lot going on, but like it's but the crazy thing has been going on. Like I guarantee you, you can go back in some of our conversations on this show of at least me alluding to some of this buried stuff. You know, like say, bro, I know I done told people about like his involvement with Ukraine. Like Obama didn't you know give him the job of handling issues with Ukraine for no reason when they was in office, when they was in office together. Like it was all kind of stuff that was conspired a long time ago. Like I'm sure there's gonna be implications of probably even Obama in some of this.
Well, let me tell you what this makes me think about. Because you got they're investigating Trump for this, that, and the other, and they're investigating Joe Biden for this, that, and the other. These are our last two most recent presidents. This is how you think this looks to other countries. Like it smells and looks like corruption is what it looks like, And then so the United States want to act like the moral authority around the world, especially related to like corruption. They love to say those African countries are so corrupt and they just can't get their shit together. What do you think them countries, they can see this too? What do you think they're thinking?
Well,
damn, U.S., can y'all get y'all shit together? Is all y'all leaders corrupt?
Well, see, no, the thing about that is they're saying that these people are corrupt, but when you are the one that's got the thumb on a lot of these countries, not really allowing them to grow, like, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, even like, just think about the way that we do credit here in America. Like, the people who can't afford it, you charge them higher interest rates. Like, really? Like, I mean, that's what you call fair? Like, I
Same
mean,
thing with
if
the
you,
banks and the overdraft fees. Everything is poor. I mean, it's more expensive to be poor. It's really expensive to be poor.
yeah, I mean, because just a
And
mishap can have you paying money that you already can't afford. Like, it's like
and everything costs more. Because like, let's say you don't have a bank. Let's say you have to go to, I don't know,
a
let's
check
like,
cashing.
yeah, the check cashing places and the Western Unions and you have to pay all your bills at Kroger and all of this shit. Like that's
And they charge you for those services extra. If you don't have a bank where you can just set up because I got most of my shit just set up on my from my bank account, but I know people in the very situation that you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Very close to me. And like when payday comes, like they gotta wait to go get their check, then gotta run somewhere to go cash it.
cash it,
And
and then they
then
might have to
and
pay to cash
go
the check because if they don't
then
have
oh
no
yeah,
bank
no, they
account,
getting they definitely taking a percentage of it. Then they got bills they need to go pay, so they driving across town. Like, bro, like
it takes time, it takes money, it takes effort.
yeah, bro. I mean, and now like they really like, cause see now they want to bring in this social credit stuff. So if I disagree with you about anything, all of your lies and stuff, and then because you're the government, if I don't just shut up and allow you to screw me more, now you can shut me off from being able to do business with anybody. Like, really? And then like nobody says anything. Like everybody just shuts up and just like, well, my credit score is not at risk. Or, yeah, but somebody is, because they too busy caring about you and ready to speak up for you because you too passive, and like you not gonna be the person that everybody's not the one to fight for the right, what's right. But you know I think that it's everybody's place to make sure that the ability for those who are gonna fight can. You know, just because you a sucker and you gonna sit back and watch, you know, the world happen to you, then you know, okay, that's fine. I mean, you know, if that's your choice, that's fine. But don't make everybody else have to be that same thing.
I don't like the credit scores anyway. I think that shit is a ripoff that they sold us on some bullshit from Jump Street. It's only 3 companies that do it. It's very opaque. We don't even know how they come up with these damn numbers.
No.
Some people
You
can
know,
it's easily manipulated too. I met a guy who was telling me about how he said he can make it look like you just bought 2 Lamborghinis or some shit. And you know, wherever you go, they're just gonna give you credit because they're gonna look at your thing and it's gonna say you just bought 2 Lamborghinis or some shit.
well, I
I'm
mean,
probably saying
well,
it wrong, but
well, I mean, that's the thing that it say, bro. It's a scam, I would say, because I mean, I've learned different things that is you know how to utilize credit, and you know, shoot, there's things that you know, if there's negative things on there, just because of certain laws, you can make them not report those things, and then automatically your scores go up, and you can go and do like, bro, like it's say, bro, when you learn how to use the system is when it starts to benefiting you. As long as you allow the system to use you, that's what's just gonna happen.
because
So
like
you got to use the system and not let it use
it
you.
makes me think of the monologue that Dave Chappelle did when he talked about Trump, and he said Trump.
Yeah.
What did he say? Trump said
It's
when Hillary Clinton tried to make him, you know, get him. She thought she had him. She was like, "Oh, he don't even pay taxes," and Trump was like, "That's because I'm smart."
what
like,
is that yeah, and she knows this exists because you know her and her constituent, her friends, does the same thing. It's like, you know, it's all in the tax law, and I learned how to use it, and you know that's just pretty much what, because it was like the way he said it was really strategic, because it was just like, how can you lie and tell the truth at the same time? You
Yeah.
know, because he's like, that's what he pretty much did, was like he didn't really even lie. Like, you know, he pretty much just told it just how it was, which that's why people did trust him. It was like, oh, we got somebody who actually gonna tell us
Tell
how,
the
like,
truth.
you know, yeah, like
Because
we not
at
gonna,
least
you know,
being honest, at least being, you know, telling the truth about it. Like, because the other part was how he said it. Shit, I bought Hillary Clinton. Like, she did stuff I wanted to do. I contributed to her campaign. Da 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 da. And like,
yeah,
that's what Dave Chappelle said. That a star was born. That moment,
yeah,
a star was born.
exactly.
I
And
think he's all the way right on that.
because see, I mean, and that's the thing, bro. Like, most of us know that we're dealing with a corrupt system anyway, and you know, without knowing how to do anything like to change it. But the main thing is, like, when you're dealing, like I said, I mean, when you're dealing with criminals, you just try to figure out who, like, all right, if I'm gonna do business, I gotta do business with criminals. Which one is better for me to do business with? Is it the one that's telling me that, you know, oh, look, just go, you know, if you lose some crack and whatever happened, we'll make it up somewhere else. Or somebody who's gonna be like, now you fuck up, now you know your head is on the line. Like, the motherfucker who's gonna tell you, be honest with you, and tell you straight up, like, this is what it is, regardless of how harsh it is, most likely you're gonna be like, I can respect this person, because I mean, you know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna be the one to put the bullet in the back of my head while we driving down the road or some shit. They telling you they're gonna look you in the eye before they kill you.
Mm. Earlier, you mentioned that there's something fishy with the with the Paul Pelosi story. So, and Jimmy Dore talked about it. Let me play some of this.
Story about Paul Pelosi and NBC they put out this report. The spoiler alert, they fired this guy, but suspended him. But watch this. So watch the report. So remember, there was all these conflicting reports about what happened with Paul Pelosi, and then they said they have some information that contradicted the police report. Watch this.
Craig, good morning. When officers arrived here at the Pelosi home exactly a week ago today, they initially didn't have any idea exactly what was going on. They knew they had a high priority call on their hand. What was unclear, what was happening inside the property just behind me.
This morning, Paul Pelosi is home, back at the house that became a crime scene a week ago today.
First of all, I want to back this. So if you break into the house, why is all the glass on the outside? That's the first question that people have. Why is all the glass on the? If I'm hitting a window, I've broken windows. By the way, I've broken windows of my neighbors. So you break their window, it all goes inside. It doesn't come outside. So that's right away suspicious. But here we go.
It kind of looks like a lubed hammer flew out of your hand. I just, no, I'm not an investigative journalist.
A week ago today, NBC News learning new details about the moments police arrived.
Details.
Sources familiar with what unfolded in the Pelosi.
I love the way the guy talks, how reporters talk. The new details about what happened. It's so fucking amazing.
Is that the same guy?
Yes.
He has a completely different voice than his opening voice.
Right? I know.
The residents now revealing when officers responded to the high priority call, they were seemingly unaware they'd been called to the home of the Speaker of the House.
What?
Let's say they weren't aware. That must have been the craziest call. You're like, wait,
is this the third most powerful person in the fucking world?
Stop hitting him with that hammer, you.
What'd you say? These guys are killing me with this.
I know it's crazy, but at the same time, when it first happened, they said that the police officer that showed up was somebody who already knew them.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna say. They're gonna say because he was in the house already.
No,
actually,
they already not the suspect. The police officer, because what that too, they're saying that guy was known too. But the police officer that just so happened to show up over there was somebody who knew them too.
Well, that's not surprising. It's going to be the same.
No, I mean it's not surprising, but it's still somewhat suspicious to everybody. Like this is the person who ends up showing up, and then the person that they saying that's here, like they've been knowing him for however long, like.
That part don't sound suspicious to me because it's gonna be a small little area. It's gonna the same cops. They know, of course, they're gonna know them because this Paul Pelosi, bro. Like he's the wife of the husband of the third most powerful person in the United States. And he patrols that neighborhood, of course he's gonna know the guy.
But okay, he knows the guy. The guy knocks on the door with a hammer in his hand to knock the dude out, or like Paul is not like, what the hell does this person want? Like, is he the one that really answers I mean, all right, maybe they do live more of a normal everyday life. So, okay, he opens the door. He just opens the door, or does he check to see who it is? Like, bro,
they're gonna talk. They're gonna talk about that because the guy was apparently in the house already, actually.
After a knock and announce, the front door was opened by Mr. Pelosi. The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or tried to leave his home.
So that's big news. So that was the big part of the news they didn't want out. That when the cops came, Paul Pelosi didn't go, "Thank God you're here, save me." He just went, "How you doing? Come on."
I'm gonna take it back because this video clip that he's playing got pulled down, and the person who did it got suspended. So nobody saw this. Well, unless they saw it, but it got pulled down. So this is not what they reporting. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take it back because this guy got in trouble for doing this news story.
Now revealing when officers responded to the high priority call, they were seemingly unaware they'd been called to the home of the Speaker of the House.
What?
Let's say they weren't aware. That must have been the craziest call. You're like, wait, wait,
Wait, is
what?
this the third most powerful person in the fucking world?
Hey, stop hitting him with that hammer, you know?
After a knock and announce, the front door was opened by Mr. Pelosi. The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or tried to leave his home.
So that's big news. So that was the big part of the news they didn't want out. That when the cops came, Paul Pelosi didn't go, "Thank God you're here, save me." He just went, "How you doing? Come on in."
But instead began walking several feet back into the foyer toward the assailant and away from police. It's unclear if the 82-year-old was already injured or what his mental state was, say sources. According to court documents, when the officer asked what was going on, defendant smiled and said everything's good. But instantaneously, a struggle ensued as police clearly saw David DePape strike Paul Pelosi in the head with a hammer. After tackling the suspect, officers rushed to Mr. Pelosi, who was lying in a pool of blood.
What we do know is he brutally attacked Mr. Pelosi and attempted to kill him.
Yeah, we all know that part.
And wasn't shot immediately like anybody else?
Right? Why didn't you guys shoot him right away? Anyway.
After spending several days in the ICU, Pelosi,
when he gets attacked,
yeah,
like
they
when
said,
when the actual attack, the cop is already there watching it.
yeah, that was the initial story. The initial news story said that.
See, I see now that's new to me because I thought that when the cops got there, that's you know, like this is something that he was supposed to have been attacked already. But okay, I'm listening.
That's how they do them fucking news stories. It'd be confusing because of the way that they tell it.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This sounds like somebody they know more about what really happened now. But when it first happened, I'm like that.
Well, no, that's the reason why Jimmy is covering this is because the news story. Because I covered this right away, and they said that the cops showed up and they saw Paul Pelosi and some guy struggling with a hammer, and the other guy hit him with the hammer, and that's what they said. So I mean, that's true, but it's leaving out a huge part of it where they was in the house and all of this that they're saying in this news story, which got pulled down right away, right after they reported it, and the guy got suspended who did this.
Yeah, because I mean, my thing is, he called the cop. He know this guy that's in the house or whatever. This guy that like there's some sort of struggle or argument or something's going on. But when the cop gets there, then that's when this guy decides, all right, you know what, I'm gonna go on and bust him over the top of his head, and you know, like it just like, and
that's
no,
what this
but
story is saying.
but in between it all, whatever has happened, he knows this guy's in the house, but he's like, oh, you know, let me go answer the door. Hold on, we'll start fighting again as soon as I open the door. Like,
no, it's like the other guy probably who knows what they had going on. You know, who the hell knows what the hell they had going on? The other guy obviously didn't give a damn about the cops being there. Whatever the situation, you know, he was pissed or whatever the hell it was. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know how it be. This sounds domestic. This sounds like Friends. This sounds like they're making jokes about it being sexual, like these dudes were fuck buddies or something. Like something.
I heard that, but I mean, you know, if it is okay, but don't see that the problem I have with that is that they're trying to make it like it's some kind of political stuff, and then trying to make it seem like it's, you know, the first implication that Joe Biden makes is that it's mega. You know, that's
apparently it's clearly more complex than that. Clearly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, this is going down, but don't, you know, you're trying to turn something and, you know, more political than what it really was. Like, look, y'all got some strange things going on over at your house. You didn't want it to come out, so now, but you gotta taint a whole section of our, you know, a whole segment of our country to try to divert whatever was really going on at your house. If y'all got freaky parties going on, that's y'all. Like, don't nobody care about that. You know what I'm saying? Is your husband okay? He cool? All right, let's move on. You know, but that's when you start pissing people off, when you're trying to implement other people who have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, let me play some more.
who is recovering from a fractured skull and serious injuries to his arm and hand, is now home, where Capitol Police remain on alert. Investigators have previously said Pelosi did not know DePape when the 42-year-old broke into his home. Why Pelosi didn't try to flee or tell responding officers he was in distress is unclear.
Fear takes over. Fear freezes people.
This morning, the 82-year-old, lucky to be alive after an intruder nearly killed him in his own home.
Law enforcement officials tell us the bottom line here is this was a terrifying situation. We still don't know exactly what unfolded between Mr. Pelosi and the suspect for the 30 minutes they were alone inside that house before police arrived. Officials who were investigating this matter would not go into further details about these new details.
So they were alone 30 minutes in the house. Cops show up. So by the way, so we know all this. I thought we covered this already, but apparently I can't find the video. On our channel. I can't find it. I don't know if it's kind of spooky.
You better pray for Paul Pelosi. He goes hit with the hammer.
What's the word she says all the time?
Lure, I pass a lure.
Allure. Yeah. How does she say it?
Allure.
Allure.
You gotta clench your teeth.
So guess what? They fired this guy for doing that report.
Suspended.
I mean, they suspended him. NBC News reporter Miguel Almaguer suspended. So they took that. First of all, the story went up. Then they immediately took it down. And they wouldn't say why. They wouldn't say what they got wrong or what he said was wrong. They just said it didn't meet our standards. They have no standards. And you don't get in trouble for lying in corporate news. You only get in trouble for telling the truth. And so they immediately took it down, and then they suspended him. And why did they suspend him? Because according to them, somebody was spreading misinformation about Paul Pelosi. You better pray for Paul Pelosi, pal. Now say it 12 times fast and rub lube all over your hammer, if you know what I mean. And you better not know what I mean, or you're fired.
Like a rosary.
So that guy does that report. The report contradicted court documents filed in DePape's case that said Pelosi nervously but calmly greeted officers in a dimly lit foyer where both men stood. It was later taken down with the explanation the piece should not have aired because it did not meet NBC News reporting standards. Did I miss how that contradicted the court documents, by the way?
What?
How does that contradict it says Paul calmly but nervously greeted of officers, not nervously and calmly. And how the fuck does one nervously but calmly do anything? It's like saying Paul Pelosi's dick was floppily rock hard. You can't. Okay. We don't comment. So then in NBC News, where they're asking, well, why are you suspending the guy? Well, they go, we don't comment on personnel matters. Yeah, but you didn't comment on why you took down the goddamn thing in the first place. I mean, so there's more to it.
What I don't understand the contradiction in the police. Whether did he leave out the part that the guy was a huge Jimmy Dore fan?
No, maybe the contradiction was that Paul Pelosi answered the door. Mm-hmm. Maybe in the police report it said that a third person, because that was the original story, was that a third person answered the door.
Right. Yeah,
it said on the NBC. It said on the NBC clip that they found him in a pool of blood.
A pool of blood. So the cops are there. He's not bleeding. 2 seconds later, he's in a pool of blood. Doesn't it take a while for a pool of blood to amass?
Where do they call him in from Uvalde for this
right.
non-action?
Right. Is it so? That was weird. So they show up. He's not bleeding. And then when the cops actually save him, he's in a pool of blood already. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, the guy.
You know what else doesn't make sense?
Go ahead.
How did David DePape end up in the hospital? No one's asking that question.
No one asks that question. No one has an interview of any of it, and nobody involved. Nobody has an interview of the cops. Nobody has an interview of Paul Pelosi. Nobody has an interview of DePape.
No. It's just so. It could be literally. Look.
You know, it's strange. And that part where they said that DePape went to the hospital, I hadn't heard that. This is my first time hearing it from Jimmy Dore. And I have my ear to the streets. I freaking, I'll be on this shit. So I didn't I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it felt weird, and like I said, I mean, to me, it's like, what proof? Like, what's like, unless y'all gonna really tell all the details of what's going on, because I mean, like that's the only way we're gonna really know if this person was connected to a group or whatever. Because I mean, if he coming there on his own reconnaissance, like he coming there to handle some business that he got directly with them, or even if he just he dealing with some mental health issues, whatever it is, like let's be honest about it. You know what I'm saying?
But they said no, we can't comment on personal matters.
Okay, so if it's personal matters, you shut the hell up and don't be trying to lead the conversation or the people's minds to somewhere else, especially when we know we got a bunch of sheep.
We'll never fucking know what the hell happened really in that situation. And that's what the bottom line is. And that just shows where we are as a country or as a nation or as citizens or whatever. We don't know shit. They lying to us left and right about everything. And it's like the media twists things with the headlines and they give you little tidbits and little bits of stuff. And then we're trying to decipher this shit and figure out what the hell is going on when they could just tell it in the story and just fucking let it all out there. Like if Paul Pelosi had a gay boyfriend or some shit and the dude was mad about some shit and he was a hater of Nancy Pelosi, I mean, I don't think that would be, I'm just totally just throwing that against the wall, by the way, y'all, but I don't think that would be like earth shattering. Like what difference is that going to make in anything?
It's nothing for us to
vote for Nancy Pelosi, or she would no longer be
no
Speaker of the House or something like that.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, if it's something personal like that, that should not matter to anybody.
It's
like,
not. Most people are gonna be like, "What the fuck ever, man." Like that. If whatever.
Yeah.
If they like her or don't like her, that's not gonna change that.
Yeah, like I mean, if you want to try to throw that in her face, like she probably knows it already anyway, and like she don't give a shit, and we shouldn't give a shit. The main thing is, okay, some elderly person got hurt in their home. It just so happened to be, Speaker of the House husband. All right, everybody, let's pray for him and hope he gets better soon, and let's move on with life. But no, like I said, my problem,
things going on.
My problem was that they try to make it like, okay, this is another J6 situation that's happening, and now this is something that everybody needs to be concerned about.
Right. So, but then that's how they make money, and that's how they make clicks. So it's the fucking capitalism driving these, media outlets to make these stories in this way so that it can cause like controversy or cause like, conspiracy or people just trying to figure this shit out. And then they're getting more clicks, and that's what the fuck they want. And that's why they do that.
One of the questions we always got to ask ourselves when this type of stuff is happening is, what the hell did they do behind our back while we was paying attention to this bullshit?
OMG. For real. That is it. For real, because all of these news stories are they're all distractions, especially this, because just like what you were saying, I think most people don't really give a shit one way or the other. They do care about what Nancy Pelosi is pushing as far as policies and legislation. They do care about that, and that's what they want to hear about. But nope, they're not gonna hear about that. They're gonna hear about what the fuck happened with Paul Pelosi, with his booty buddy and a lubed up hammer.
No, that's crazy, bro. Like these people insane, man. Like, but yeah, bro. Like this like stuff like this is the stuff that irritates the hell out of me, is because like it takes us going, over the river through the woods before we can get to anything solid. Like, we got to go through all these back and forths. This happened, that happened. Let me hear it again. Say that again. What happened? About, like, and then it's just like, when you really get to the end of it, it's like, okay, so why am I, how is this a news story? What made this a big news, like a national news? Like,
it shouldn't have been a story. It shouldn't have been a story. Well, other than him getting, he got put in a hospital, so he almost died. But as far as them making it like as big of a story as it was, is like fucking global news.
Yeah.
I bet you they was watching this shit in other countries and around the world.
But that's one of the things too that we need to be upset with a lot of these politicians, is that they make us look stupid. And the people around the world know our structure, that is really based on the people, but because we sit back and allow this, or when they put up their campaign about the things that they want to do, like the war in Ukraine, when pretty much everybody know that these people that's over here, like, who they are and what they're about, and just like, oh, this is who the people are supporting. You know what I'm saying? We got shit that's happening over here in our country, and they won't come and help us do shit, and they want to go support these people.
Telling you, everything is getting exposed. But I have to say this. The part, and I said it before in the other show, but the part about this story that bothers me the most is how people were just laughing at the fact that this old dude got hit in the head with a hammer. And it's funny, the part about the lubed up hammer, that's funny. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
but the reality of the old dude getting hit in the head and fractured skull and being in the ICU for a week, that shit is not funny.
Well,
and we should show, this is us showing our lack of humanity, when
exactly.
Just because he's on the other side, you could just laugh at him almost dying.
But that's why.
And also, the other part of this, it's really important. I'm sorry, I have to say this, is the incitement of violence that it leads to. Because if people are laughing, they're making light of some guy almost dying, getting hit with a hammer, that is emboldening all of the rest of these crazy fucks out here who are willing to go do some shit like that to somebody just because they're on the other side and they don't agree with them.
Yeah. Because like, that's one of the main reasons why I want to point out, I want to specifically say, like, this elderly man, because I mean, a lot of people not taking it serious, or like saying like this is no big deal because, oh, this is Nancy Pelosi's husband. You know what I'm saying? But when you really break it down, this is an elderly 82-year-old elderly man getting hit upside the head with a hammer. Like, this could be your grandpa. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just bring it back down to a level that is like pretty, like the basic. Like, it don't matter what his name is and this, that, and the other. Like, this is somebody that got hit over the head for reasons that we're not certain of. And okay, yes, this is the leader's the leader of the house husband. So okay, potentially this might be something bigger. All right, well, let's pay attention. But now when we find out, all right, look, there's some personal shit that they had going on, and regardless if he was looking for his wife or not, it's like, okay, look, an 82-year-old man, I don't care how young he looked, he's still an 82-year-old man going up against a 42-year-old man. Like, that's not a fair fight. Period. It's not a fair fight.
And then what he was saying, Jimmy Dore, now let's do some speculating here just for fun. But
yeah,
the window being broken out, it looked like it was busted out from the inside. What the hell else what would be an easy way to break a window? Breaking windows are not easy. It's not easy to break windows, even the softest window. So like, and then using your hands or something, or using a lot of things. What I'm saying is the hammer could have been used to broke those windows. And then we know that Paul Pelosi was the one who had the hammer. The guy yoinked it from him and hit him with it. So, and that might be another reason why he was calm. He probably felt like he had control of the situation. It's like, I got this, y'all.
But see, like, I don't, you know, I'm not gonna, because I mean, I really wanted to say that's what bothers me about some of the Democrats, but this is what bothers me about some people, especially when they talk about all of this, you know, protecting your home, and then you got to try to use a hammer. You ate like, bro, there's no reason he shouldn't have had him a little 22, a little, you know what I'm saying, a little
He
something.
probably
Pop,
did.
pop.
Maybe he didn't. You know, it was away. It was in the safe. It wasn't easily accessible. You know,
It
maybe
ain't
he
gonna do
just
you no
didn't.
good in your safe. Like it's never gonna do you any good. Because I mean, it's not
A
like
lot of
nobody's
people.
gonna set an appointment. I hear you, but
Yeah, a
I'm
lot of
just not.
people do that.
I
They
know a
keep
lot
their
of
gun locked up. Yeah.
I know, but that it ain't helping you over there, and that's why everybody need to know. Like this needs to be like, yeah, if you got young kids, yeah, you need to find a way to make sure you put it away, but you still need to be able to get to it fast, because nobody's gonna set an appointment to come and kill you or to come and rob you. Like, oh, you're gonna be at home at what time? Like,
And then when they come in, you're like, hold on, give me a second. Let me open my safe. Let me to do the combination or whatever. And let me find the key for this thing or whatever. give
you know what
me
I'm
a minute.
saying?
Give me a minute. I get your point there. I ain't gonna lie. I get your point there. But you know how I feel about guns. I always feel like they need more regulation. I was just looking at this 4-year-old killed himself. I got the story on Instagram right now. I could share it.
Well, you know what?
He shot himself.
How about giving people a test, like, you know, or let's see how smart you are, you know, because that's all it means. Like, we don't need dumb people with guns. Like, you know what I'm saying? We
And
don't
that's
need you to.
I
We
think
don't.
it should be. I was thinking about it today because I was reading that story about the kid who killed himself, 4 years old, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know, just everybody, random people having guns. I don't agree with it. I really don't, and I think that it should come to like for a purpose. So like, I really feel like as far as like the police, you know, the old school, it was the militia, right? The neighborhood protects the neighborhood. The neighborhood, the men of the neighborhood, they come together and they make a militia, you know, and they train
But that's
together.
you. But that's you.
That's my point. But we have to do it, or it needs to be organized. It can't be any Joe Blow. Because if you want to look, what I'm saying is, if you want to own a gun, then you should have to be a part of your neighborhood fucking militia or whatever, neighborhood watch or whatever the hell. And y'all regularly do trainings and shit like that. And whenever there's trouble, then we won't even need the police so much.
A lot of people don't trust that, because look, oh boy, you remember the dude that came about, I forget his name, Soul Brother, so I forget his name, but that's the him and his crew went set up at up there in Atlanta by the Stone Mountain or whatever a couple of years back. I forget his name. Jam Master, not Jam Master J, but it was Jam Master something. You know, he damn near had the same name as the DJ. But this dude, he had people that he was supposedly training, this, that, and the other. Like, he writing down the serial numbers of these people's guns and all. Like, he was pretty much an agent. He was an operative. You know what I'm saying? So this is what ends up happening. You know, you end up not having genuine people that's really trying to do this. And you're saying it's organized, but
so that's what you need to do. That's what we would need. And it would have to be discipline. And it would have to be punishment for people who don't do shit the right way and shit like that. And if you're not involved in this, then you shouldn't be able to have a gun. That's how I feel. Because if you just want to come out here and rob and steal or whatever, then no, I don't think you should have a gun. So the reason why you should have a gun is because you want to protect your neighborhood. So just protecting your house you have to protect your neighborhood. You can't just really protect your house. You really can't, because when they come in door to door and you got these trained dudes with fucking weapons, when the fucking real shit hit the fan, your little pee poop ain't finna do nothing. You might hold out for a little while, but they finna get you. You get what I'm saying? But if y'all came together as a neighborhood, they have to beat each neighborhood. That's gonna be way more difficult.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I think that you might have it a little bit backwards because I think everybody should have a gun except for people who prove not to be, to have the
But
ability to,
But they didn't already. They'd probably have to do something really stupid already, like their 4-year-old ends up killing themselves or something. Then, because that's probably what's going to happen anyway today. If
But
you
see, but that's just not the way the world works. I mean, that's just like, I mean, you can't just start arresting people before they do a crime.
No, you can't. But you cannot give them a damn gun. Fuck that. You got to prove. I'm saying, if you want to have a gun, then you need to be a part of this militia and go to training every whatever it is and swear like you have to follow the rules that they set up for you to. The reason why you have this gun, you can take it home with you and use it as you wish.
So you don't think that some of the people that's done some killing has gone through like these people up in Buffalo? You think that dude couldn't pass that whole scenario that you talking about?
What I'm saying is that the neighborhood's gonna hold the neighborhood accountable. So whoever, if you have a gun, then you have to follow whatever the rules are that's set up by this militia. And whenever you do things that get out of line of that shit, then there has to be consequences and repercussions. So then we keep each other in line. Yes, of course.
I hear you, but
stuff.
Look, I feel like what you're saying is cool, and yes, for some that's gonna work, but like, I mean, you gotta think about it. I mean, we got people out here who like they have allegiance to their own, like they don't have an allegiance to righteousness. They have an allegiance to
that's the problem
around them,
and that's the problem.
And that's how we end up getting killed. Our grandparents,
exactly.
Like, I mean.
But that's the problem. If you force them to be a part of this militia thing and they have to come together. I was watching a video where they were talking about rhythm and they were talking about how, like, with the military, they make them train and they make them just kind of march and they're in lockstep with each other. But there's a psychological reason why they do that. It's because the synchronicity of them being in lockstep with each other when they walking in the same rhythm.
Singing and all. I know. I saw that.
It leads them to be more protective of each other, and they look out for each other. Yes,
I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but do you hear what you're saying? Because you're saying that screw what you think and how you feel. You're gonna get down with this, like you saying, like you're speaking like a totalitarian, that you have to be this way or you don't get shit.
Well, you don't get to have a gun if you don't want to.
It doesn't
what I'm
matter,
saying,
bro. That's what you're saying.
That is what I'm saying.
You're one of the people that I talk about all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that I'm like, I'm bothered. I'm like, it's scaring me that, okay, you really believe that, like, unless they go along with the program you see fit, that's how it should be?
Each community is going to come up with these parameters. Each neighborhood.
Don't like you. Look, I don't like how you and your friends doing your thing. Look, I got my shit. Shit come down. Look, I care enough that I'm gonna help protect you. But look, I'm not coming over in that circle with y'all. Like, and I should have the right to do that. Like, look, my main concern is the reason why I got this gun is to be able to protect my family. But if the sky starts to fall down, look, I'm gonna come outside and I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna protect whatever I can or help people or whatever. But don't come telling me what I got to do and what I can't have unless I do what you say. Man, you're gonna be the first person head I knock off.
It wouldn't be the government. It would be your community. It would be your friends, your buddies.
I know.
You would be a part of the group that making these decisions.
I probably would, but if somebody don't want to be a part of it, I'm not gonna tell them that they got to, like somebody who don't want to be a part of something and you're trying to force them, like you're causing a problem within your circle already.
Because you're making the argument of niggas just don't want to act right, and we got to deal with them ones that don't want to act
I'm making
right.
an argument. I'm making an argument of what's fair for individual people. Like, yeah, some of us are loners, and look, I don't want to be a part of y'all clique. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go train over here. Like, I know how to handle guns. I'm very responsible with guns, but you and your crew, y'all do a little too much. I'm a little more inconspicuous with what I do. So I'm a train. I'm gonna have my stuff together, and if y'all need me, y'all gonna see me outside. But you don't tell me I gotta be over here and I gotta do this and I gotta do that.
Your argument is fair. It is, but this is how I see it. I was thinking about it for a while, and that's what I came up with. Because I don't think, because if as long as you have that guy that you're saying, the loner guy, if you allow that to be, then that's gonna break the whole thing, and it's gonna cause you to have the riffraff dudes that just want to rob and steal and kill.
No, I don't think so, bro. Like, honestly, like, a lot of stuff in the hood don't happen because of what the people around there already, like, they let it be known. Look, you better watch, cut that shit out, or shoot, before you know it, they laid out in the fucking ditch somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're gonna be like accountable for the shit that they doing. But my thing is like, to protect, like, look, we have a country based on laws. That the laws govern us, not people. We come together and we have laws that is agreed upon. Like, okay, all right, this is what we're gonna do. All right, let's do that. But then when somebody come in, is like, man, fuck that. Look, this would need to happen and blah blah blah. Like, your idea is not better than what everybody else has already agreed on.
But that's what I'm saying. Everybody's gonna agree on this. And imagine how strong the neighborhoods would be. Imagine how hard it would be. Even the government trying to come in and be like, if they on some fuck shit, then the people are gonna be like, nah, we not feeling that, and they gonna fight, bruh. And it's gonna be organized.
Say, bro, I believe that wholeheartedly. But look, say, bro, like, what I'm trying to tell you, like, the people who don't want to, like, you know what I'm saying, you can't tell them they can't have a gun because they don't want to be a part of your crew.
I get it, and that's a fair argument. I'm just saying, I think that's the only way because we've had this argument before, because I'm talking about how in other countries where they don't have mass shootings, they have mass stabbings. Because the people, nobody can really have guns.
They say, bro, if it came down to it, and you couldn't even have a knife, somebody, like, if somebody wants you dead, like, look, what they call it, the sleeper, shoot.
Well, they can't stop you from having a knife, because you could just make them.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like, even if that
they got knives in prison.
If you could. No, well, yeah, shanks.
They call them shanks.
Yeah, but no, but what I'm saying is, if somebody fed up with you enough, you done did something harmful enough to where somebody like, nah, this nigga need to go. Like, there's a asphyxiation, like somebody put their arm around your neck and hold it until you done. So, one way or the other, it can happen. That's why I'm like, look, let's just look. We need guns, especially with the type of government that we've allowed to grow here.
That's the scary part. I ain't gonna lie, and that's the part that justifies it the most in my mind. Is tyranny, and that argument is hard to argue with. But I like to dream. Can we get the damn government under control to the point where we don't have to worry about them fucking coming in and trying to fucking kill us?
Well,
or whatever?
See, I mean, that's the people that we need to, have the or else conversation with. Like, we need to get all these old people out, and we get, because I think if we have fresh blood, people who don't, what I'm saying, like, you need people that's got connections around the world, but when they start, trying to make deals with people outside of what's right for the people,
but
I mean,
what I always think about is it worth it? You know, that's what I think
Is
about.
is what
Look
worth
how
it.
many allowing everybody to have guns. Just put it right there. I can't.
Say, bro, do you see? Do you see?
Look how many people
Look,
are dying every day. Like right
listen.
here. Let me read this. It says
Do
4-year-old
you
boy.
see how many people? Wait a minute, hold on. Do you see how this stuff happens like in these other countries way more often than it does over here?
That we talking about mass shootings? We're the capital for mass shootings. What are you talking
No,
about?
no, not mass shootings. I'm talking about like where the government comes in, like, cause like, all right, we can't control what individuals do, and yeah, it's a shame that shit like that happens. You know, like if we had like a government that was like really, you know, like really care for the people and police officers that's really protecting us, like, you know what I'm saying, like, shoot, black people ain't never really been protected. You know what I'm saying?
But look, you said you can't control what people do. No, you cannot. But if the dude didn't have a gun, he couldn't took out 800 people or whatever it was. He got fucking extra clips. Like, if he ain't got that, he can't do it. Period.
Say, bro.
Is it worth it? That's my argument. Is it worth it to have to worry about going to the grocery store and getting some dinner for your family and worried about getting mowed down?
Hey, bro, you know what's not gonna be illegal?
By some random asshole.
What you know what's not gonna be illegal? A fucking what you call it, those power nails, like the thing you shoot nails with, and you know,
How many people can you take out with that though? I get you.
A bunch.
Not
A bunch.
Nowhere on the level of a freaking rat. Nowhere on that level.
They do the same thing. Like if you ain't seen it, bro.
I know what you're talking about. No, you cannot compare that. The damage is not gonna be the same. You cannot kill. It's got to be plugged up. You need an air. How much mobility are you finna have with that thing? You need an air pressure.
They got those little gas gun things. The little gas pressure. You know, it's almost like a CO2 cartridge that goes in a bunch of.
How much is that finna have? That's what I'm telling you. That's not a fair argument, bro. The person with the brat can keep putting the clips in there. That is no comparison. No comparison. You shooting somebody with some nail guns, how many people you finna get before somebody is in your ass? It won't be long. Even the person that you hitting with the nails might get up in your ass.
All right. Well, I'm just trying to tell you, like, there's other things. If somebody really want to hurt a lot of people at one time, like, I mean, I think that there needs to be some assessments on people, because, like, there's a lot of stuff that's happening. Like, parents need to be more honest with people about their children and how crazy they really are, and what the possibilities that how they might hurt themselves or somebody else. Like, you know, that's where a lot of that stuff come in. Like, a lot of people like, they just kind of like act like there's no problem when they know it is. Like, shit, Jeffrey Dahmer's parents knew something was wrong with his ass.
I agree with you on that. But let me read this. It says 4-year-old boy fatally shot himself with gun left on dollhouse in Indiana, police say. This was November 16th, 2022.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can.
Yeah, I mean, that's negligence, and, you know, like I said, I mean, that's stuff that, you know, I feel sorry for. But we've come too far in this country to allow things to get to where it is for us to just be like, all right, we the people no longer are gonna protect ourselves against these people who, you know, choose to want to hurt us when they feel like it. Like, I mean, you just, like, they just signed into law, like, recently, you know, a lynch, like I showed you the other day, like the whole lynching thing. Like, these motherfuckers, like, they did everything they could to, like, the first bill that was signed or that they tried to introduce was back in the 1920s. And then out of all this time, they found good reason to still want to be able to hang somebody or like be able to kill you with, you know, like real, like I mean that you know that's America, right? There were
Hold on.
there was people who didn't even have a gun that ended up getting killed and hung, you know, like through lynchings. You know, modern day lynchings is more so happen with guns through police officers, or maybe even the guy you talk the people you talking about that's doing the mass shootings. We could consider that lynching too. But we've pretty much allowed, you know, our government has allowed that to be legal up until March this year. And we don't even know how much protection that really even gives. When it comes down to police officers, they can still what they had qualified immunity, you know, if you can't prove that they already knew. And that's like that's what's so insane to me. Like these people, they supposed to know those laws, but when it comes to a situation where they've killed somebody, now they can be like, oh, well, I didn't know that law existed. The hell
Yeah.
you like?
So, but what's crazy about that, what you're saying, is that it took this long for them to have like an anti-lynching law or whatever. So it's like the lynchings were basically legal. I mean, they wasn't legal. Murder is not legal, but it was like a lot. It was always they would, you know, hardly anybody would get held accountable. It's like oh, we don't care.
Yeah, and Democrats still feel like, you know, the federal government doesn't have a right to make you know, make that a law. Like they feel like that's state rights, just like what they're doing with the whole Roe versus Wade. Wade. You know what I'm saying? They feel like, you know, the state should be able to decide if we want to do that, if they want to do that or not.
Yeah. Let me play this clip. I don't know if this is the right clip, but
just got some breaking news in this situation. A mother and her boyfriend, Alicia Smith and Joseph Jackson, have been arrested in the death of a 4-year-old boy inside of this house. Neglect of a dependent. The charge. Investigators have been in and out of this home on the 1500.
No, I don't know if this is the right one.
We have breaking news at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, that's not it. Anyways, I'm gonna just move on. Yeah, I don't know how we got on that topic, but
that's right. I'm not sure what led us there either. But I mean, I think that's something that is still somewhat important for us to discuss. And yeah, you know, it would be good to have a program like what you're talking about. But you know, like I said, I mean, trying to force everybody into it just isn't it's not gonna work. Like it's gonna, anybody that wants to be a part of it, yeah, come on down, let's do this. But if you try to tell me I can't have a gun because I ain't a part of your crew, that's gonna make me act up on you, even if I want to be a part of your club.
Yeah, I get you, but I just feel like that's be the only way, because I don't think that everybody deserves to have a gun. Let me read this right here. We're back to the magazine, and then I'm going to move on to Israel. It says, Multiverse Mania. It's the movie trope of the moment, but it's possible that there are alternate realities with different versions of our lives, and could we ever be able to hop between them? That's interesting, right? It says, but is it possible that there are alternate realities with different versions of our lives, and could we ever be able to hop between them? That's kind of like what we were saying last night, too.
Mm-hmm. Because I mean, that's one thing that I mean, it would be nice to flirt with, but I mean,
And would that be traveling in time? That's one of the things I'll be thinking about when they do the time travel stuff. Are they not really traveling in time, or are they just really just going to another dimension where the time stamp is at a different point?
Yeah, I don't know, and like I've heard different scenarios about it because like some people say like we already exist in these different realms. Like we have lives that's going on in these different places, but we just like I don't like how does that even like to me like that does how does that work? Because like my real life is my life force, my soul, what energizes this body. So
Yeah, but who's to say your soul can't energize multiples? And it's the whole idea of the multiverse, because honestly, science has already came to that conclusion that that's more likely than it just being like one universe. The idea of the multiverse, because when you think about the universe and we can't see the edge of it in any direction, so as far as we know, there is no end to it. So then that's where the idea of the multiverse kind of like comes in to play, because the infinite, literally infinite, like everything infinite. So even there's infinite yous in the universe, because you're in this one. Theoretically, there could be infinite number of yous. You understand?
I hear you, but I'm looking. I need proof.
Yeah.
That I need some proof. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I like to wonder and dream and consider these different things, but at the same time, I mean, I can't wrap my finger around it because it's like, I'm never gonna say impossible, because like I think that almost anything is possible, but I would love to experience it so I can really say, oh yeah, this happens and that happens, and if you do this thing, you can kind of surf through whichever world you want to be in. Because I'm definitely gonna move to one that where what I'm saying, I'm the most productive and like I don't know if I would want to go back and forth. Maybe I've chosen the best life already. I don't know. Like
there you go. And then maybe you can't really go back and forth really, because the other one is you and it's just going. And that one is going in the best life that it has. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just all different versions of you, which is really just you, because everything is infinite. That's the idea of it. Let me read some of this. It says, at the start of the 2021 film Spider-Man No Way Home, Tom Holland's Spidey has Doctor Strange cast a spell so people will forget that he is Peter Parker. The enchantment, though, becomes corrupted and opens a gateway to alternate universes, allowing in many of Web Slinger's nemesis. Thankfully and delightfully, it also pulls through versions of Spider-Man from other films, the ones played by Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. The costumed trio stop the bad guys and send everyone back to where they came from. If you visited your multiplex or turned on your TV in the last few years, you've seen the idea of the multiverse emerge as the hot storytelling device, with takes appearing in Star Trek, Caroline, Source Code, and other films, including another Marvel entry, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This theory of physics postulates that there are an infinite number of worlds and yous out there, all alike but oddly different. The appeal is clear. Wouldn't it be great if you could glom onto the best form of yourself and the best version of your reality? And wouldn't it satisfy a basic human curiosity to see what would happen if you had taken a different fork at one of life's crossroads? Surprisingly, the most modern premise has ancient roots. In the 5th century BCE, ancient Greek philosophers called atomists believed that atoms were the smallest pieces of matter, and the world was just an accident created by colliding atoms which created parallel worlds. Metrodorus of Chios said, "It seems absurd that in a large field only one stalk should grow, and that in infinite space only one world exists." And as Democritus wrote, "There is an unlimited number of cosmoi, worlds, and some are similar to this one, and some are dissimilar." Let me read some more. This view was replaced in the 2nd century with Ptolemy of Alexander's belief in one and only one solar system, the Earth at its center. The thought of a singular cosmos held until the 13th century, when Etienne Tempier, a bishop of Paris, wrote that since God is all-powerful, he could create as many worlds as he wants. The first literary advocate for this idea of multiple worlds may have been the master of supernatural literature, Edgar Allan Poe, who in 1848 wrote in his Eureka, a prose poem, that there does exist a limitless succession of universes, more or less similar to that of which we have cognizance. It is abundantly clear that, having had no part in our origin, they have no portion in our laws. They neither attract us nor we them. Their material, their spirit is not ours, is not that which obtains in any part of our universe. They could not impress our senses on our souls. What do you think?
Like I still need some proof, and I think I mean the assessment that they make are making, I think is like they've given a lot of great possibilities. Like they clearly thought about it, but it's still it's just hypothetical,
Yeah.
What you think? I mean,
I like the idea of the multiverse. I really do. And I've done a lot of freaking research or studying or in this area. And I mean, I could talk about this stuff for a long time because it's like the membranes. They talk about the membranes and the membranes touching each other. Anyways, that shit is fucking blows my mind. It's just I love to think about this stuff. That's all. I really love it.
No, yeah, it's a cool subject.
I love it. Can they ever prove that there's other universes? Maybe some people out here already know. And when they talk about portals, maybe that's what it is. It's a gate. You ever watch that show Stargate?
No.
Oh, damn. Star Trek Stargate.
No, I got some friends that watch it, and
I used to watch it back in the days, and just all that stuff. It's just super, super interesting to me because, like in that show, it was like a military people. Like these Stargates were random place, but there's always like a military that protects it, and mostly no one knows about it really. If you came over there, then the military's finna be on your ass just because you're in that area. And so, but then some segments of the society knows about it. And then it's some segments of the other societies in the other realms or whatever that know about it. And they communicate with the other people in the other realms. Like, sometimes there's wars and stuff with them and just like all kinds of drama that there would be related to that. Mm-hmm. Super interesting. Because the idea of the Stargate was not going to other dimensions. It was about moving over a large space, traveling as further than you could possibly, even physically or with some kind of ship or whatever. And then that idea of it makes a lot of sense because, when we was talking about UFOs earlier, and it's like, I was reading about that and they were saying like, an advanced, species or whatever, maybe wouldn't even move that way at all. And like, they're saying like, maybe those ships are just used to carry goods or whatever, something like that. They're like worker ships, like kind of like, you know, our ships that we do on the ocean, carrying
Well, you know,
barges.
well, you know,
and
they've
stuff.
always talked about, like throughout history, they've always talked about how they would come here for, like they pretty much use us to be the miners, the slaves that mine the gold, the platinum, the
Right.
different minerals that they need for their planet, that they, you know, maybe they are like cargo UFOs that's coming to pick up they.
But the way that, what I'm trying to get to the point is though, but the way the actual people or beings move have nothing to do with the ships, nothing to do with them at all. You know, and that's the idea related to like these stargates. You know what I'm saying? In the old Star Trek, The Next Generation, they had the what the hell was that thing called? They stand in it and it just kind of like breaks them into pieces, right? And then moves them to wherever they're gonna go, like the computer. And it basically happens instantly, right? So it's like this is the idea of like moving through this Stargate where instead of taking a ship to somewhere, you just go to this gate and you open it and you walk through it and you're at the destination. Because see, the thing can be set to different destinations, you know, kind of like a clock or something.
Yeah, I get it, and you know, but I think that this is more of a like the conversation we had last night, where it's more mental than it is physical. Because, like, I mean, traveling, you know, in the 3D world is different than, you know, these different portals or these access points that you're able to, you know, what they're showing on TV. They're showing it to us in a physical way, but I think that a lot of these things, us visiting these different realms, is actually, you know, with just the mind, and you know, through sleep, or even like maybe even our subconscious mind, where most of our power is to begin with. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, okay, it sounds great, but you know, is this something that we're really talking about on a physical, like totally like my body leaving this world and showing up in another world?
Right. That is what we're talking about when we're saying the gates. It's related to the stargates.
Okay.
Portals. I want to move on to Israel before I lose y'all. We're at 2 hours. Okay, so yeah, this is the touchy ass subject, but because of the news with Kyrie and freaking Kanye and all of that shit, and now Dave Chappelle, they throwing him in the boat. A lot of people are talking about this stuff. So, but I think it's just drawing attention. I think that the main attention that this thing should draw attention to is the existence of Israel, the plight of the Palestinians, and then that also comes back to the United States and the plight of the Aboriginals and Black people here, and how all that shit happened.
Yeah, yeah, it should, but that's the part that I think that most of our politicians want to be able to come in and out of office without having to take responsibility for decisions that they've made, or, you know, like I said, I mean, there's things that we've dealt with as a country as a whole based on people who don't even live anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, decisions that was made 50 years ago, 100 years ago, you know, whatever, that we still honor and uphold because of all of that. I mean, nobody wants to believe it, but we still, you know, we still got slavery in this country. You know what I'm saying? And that's whether you want to talk about just from the level of the human trafficking things, or even just mental slavery. But we uphold a lot of the ideas that has, like, however, we need to change. Like, there's things that yeah, we need to acknowledge, we need to, change some of these things, because like we're saying, okay, yeah, it's okay for these people to kill somebody who's been living in this land. Like the very same thing that happened to us, we're sitting back and allowing and watching people on our dime, kill people just like us.
Mm. So the name of this video is "Why Israel Matters to Americans." This is I want to say Al Jazeera. And the caption
to the United States. I would say to the United States, because
that's what they said in the caption. So I don't know. The Americans is what they said in the name.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways,
I'm you know me. I'm being.
Let me read the caption. It says, "There's undoubtedly a very special relationship between Israel and the United States. Since the establishment of the State of Israel and the British Mandate of Palestine, the two countries have had deep ideological, political, and spiritual ties. This unique relationship between the two has resulted in shielding Israel from criticism and accountability for its occupation, apartheid, and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians for over 7 decades. Yet, can this relationship be explained simply by the role of Zionist lobbying, the U.S. foreign policy objectives? Can America's support for Israel be simply explained as continued empathy for the horrors of the Holocaust, or is the truth closer to home and in the mirror?
There was this dude, a Sephardic Jew. Well, at least that says, calls himself a Sephardic Jew, says that the people that we're calling Jews, they even saying it's like those are not Jews, those are Israeli Zionists that has their own agenda. Those are not Jews. Like we're making a mistake by calling them Jews. I agree, but that's something that we got to uncover first before we can even get to that. Is why does America think it's okay to help, in one hand claiming to help one group of people and say that it's okay to hurt these others?
Well, what they always say in the news is Israel has a right to defend itself. That's what
okay, well then let Israel defend itself instead of them being the ones with the heavy artillery. And you know what I'm saying? Like, if we're gonna let it be fair, let them get out there and you know what I'm saying? Shit. Let's see some hand-to-hand combat. But if you keep sending them billions of dollars worth of aid to be able to get the best military equipment, like you're
and
doing
they
the same
have
thing,
they have some of the most state of art. They have that shit that they call the steel dome or metal dome. I think they call it the steel dome. That shit is more high tech than I don't think anybody has anything close to that in the world.
We don't even have it. They might have it over DC, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really sure how that shit works out, but nobody, like,
I don't think no one has that. That shit is ridiculously badass. I ain't gonna lie. I saw it in action that time because I've been paying more and more attention to this, really in recent years, because I didn't understand it before. They was always talking about, oh, they've been fighting over there in the Middle East forever. And it's like, wait a minute. But, that's what I believed before, but it's like, hold on, man. The more you think about it, it's like, hold on, man. That's too simple right there.
But see, but look, this is my look. I'm gonna tell you like this, because this just lets me know that these people don't even believe in the Bible, because they made a place for these people that we're saying are Jews, the Ashkenazis or the Khazars, or whatever you want to call these people. They don't, brought them home, or made them a home in somebody else's home, where in the Bible it says that God is gonna make a place for them, like over everything. Like if we believe in, these
well, God
prophecies.
must be the British crown, because that's who made a way for them.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's exactly what I'm saying. Like they're not God. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what nobody say, but it's just that, like I said, my point is more so like we know that they don't believe in the Bible, so that's not a reference that we can really use when both people have to agree that this is going to be the source of where, reasoning. You know what I'm saying? So, but when it comes down to it, like you've placed people in this land, and it was peaceful until these people start feeling like they deserve other people's land that's next to them.
And
So
they said God gave it to them, told them that God told me this was God set this aside for me. It's mine. I know y'all been here for thousands of years, but God told us this is for us, so that's what it is. And that's the exact same thing they said over here with Manifest Destiny in the United States. Same thing. Settler colonialism. Same shit. Talk about it wasn't nobody here and shit. They said the same thing in Israel. They said these people were like, it's not organized. It's true when they first went over there, they were like in the marshes and,
went right over where?
Uninhabitable land. The Israeli, the Jewish people that went to Israel, when they first started coming, they were in the areas that weren't as, plentiful, if you will, like marshes, swamps. They were sold land that wasn't, useful, and they made it into something, and that is true. That part is true. Let me read some comments.
Okay.
It says, this is the first comment underneath the video. It says, "Thank you for this comprehensive breakdown of a topic that is so laden with strong feelings, and recognizing that the U.S. often justifies what should be unacceptable behavior by any country in the name of its shared religious heritage. There's not really shared at all. Appreciate the great journalism and uncovering of truths the media and our system would rather we do not understand." Another comment, it says, "Can you do an episode on the Republic of Ireland being a British colony, for example? There are still thousands of absentee landlords living in London that collect rents from the feudal era." Another comment, it says, "A backspace about U.S. colonialism in Puerto Rico will be great. I'm an anthropologist that discusses these issues and would love to collaborate." Another comment, it says, "I would love to see an analysis surrounding the political and humanitarian crisis in Venezuela in the last years, notably how the stories told about it outside of the country have been shaped by different political interests and how they ignore many nuances of the conflict." So that's at the end of the video. She said, "Can y'all give us some suggestions for future videos?" So that's why these people are saying this stuff. Let me play some of this.
The victor. It is a pioneer, an innovator. It took a land without a people and made it blossom at the hands of a people without a land. Israel is necessary. Israel is a haven. It is moral. It is a democracy. Israel is America. Israel occupies, no pun intended, a unique position in the American news media landscape, in its political landscape, and, more than anywhere else, in the American consciousness and imagination.
So let me be clear about what I believe. I stand with Israel because of our shared values, which are so fundamental to the founding of both our nations.
Advocacy itself is not the cause of the bond between the United States and Israel. Its cause is the shared history and common values that draw America and Israel together.
There is an assumption
That's
of
really
virtue,
revealing
of
what
a
he
greater
said.
good in America's official history that has been consciously reproduced by Israel's advocates for a large part of the last century in an attempt to Americanize the Israeli project. And so when the curtain is pulled away to reveal the violence that upholds Israel's existence, there is an understanding from the United States of the necessity of this violence. Because Israeli violence is necessary to protect Israel from threats to its exceptional existence, just as American violence is necessary to protect the United States from threats to its exceptional existence. How Israel is covered in the US news and popular media serves to obscure the biggest thing that ties the United States and Israel together. They're both settler colonial states which have been built on the displacement and ethnic cleansing of other peoples. And so to tell the story of Israel in US news media has required for over 7 decades the disappearance of Palestinians, their history, and their right to their homeland. Because
You know, that's the reason why I always go back to the Palestinian story every time, because it's the same story of my ancestors here in the States. And I see it so clear. Like, it's like they are literally going through right now what my ancestors went through not that long ago. Like,
No, yeah, I mean, it's
pretty much
exact.
still happening.
It is pretty much the exact story, because, and then, like I said, it's these Europeans that has gone into another land to, you know, probably based on the discovery, what they call it, the doctrine of discovery, and, you know, based on people's beliefs, because those Palestinians are, you know, I don't know, like to say Christian, but like they have their own set of values. That's just because I think it's maybe even more Islamic or like traditional Christianity, like not, you know, like the original stuff. But either way, these people come in and take over these people's land based on an idea that because God has told them that this is, you know, they have rights to this land because they were chosen by he himself, and, you know, now they can, you know, do as they please in this land. It's really insane.
It's insane and absurd. And that's the reason why I don't like the Bible so much, because this is what they're using. They're saying, okay, it says it in there, you know, hey, we're the tribe of Judah.
What about
and
treating your neighbor like? What about treating your neighbor like you would yourself?
And even in the Bible, it gives specific locations, and that's the reason why they chose that area and all of that stuff. And it's like, you know, this is the Holy Land. This is our Holy Land that we were dispelled from for years ago. So we have rights to this land. And
all
like,
of it was a scam.
We know that y'all been here for thousands of years, but hey, it's time for us to come back. You know,
it was a scam, bro. Like, you know what? Like, look, if the Holocaust really happened, then like my whole thing is that, like, okay, before all this World War II stuff happened with Germany, this, that, whatever, like, I really feel like a lot of that stuff was set up as a plan before then. That's what made them, you know, like gave them a good reason to move into that area and, you know, do what they have been doing. And it's like slowly trying to get rid of the people, almost like what they've like you're saying, like what they've done here, like over the years, like the genocide that has happened right here on this land is very much like what they have done over there, except that in a different age.
And I mean, I don't want to pick on a certain group of people, but these are not all Jewish people because it's so complicated. But these people who are putting on this costume and pretending to be something that they're not, it seems like everywhere they go, it's problems. People hate them. They don't want them to be there. They want them to leave. They want them to go somewhere else. It's like they don't have no home. They're nomads. It's like the idea of the gypsies. You know how like people talk about gypsies? And I want to be careful when I talk about this, but this is something that I've looked at for a long time, and there's a connection there between these same people that wherever they go, people just it's like what they say about assimilation. It's like they want to assimilate. they don't do well with others. They tend to just stick to themselves only, and they have their own customs and stuff that they have been carrying with them forever. And it's just like everybody finds them repulsive and like a problem. Like they don't want them around, and then they get kicked out of every damn country that they're in. You get what I'm saying? And I'm trying not to be offensive, but this is what it is, like, and it's because of the behavior that people have, where they have this arrogance, they have this ego, they feel like they're better than everybody else. They feel like they don't have to be trustworthy or whatever. They don't feel like they have to, because they feel like everybody else is lesser. So the only way I'm to be able to respect you is if you're on my level, but you're not on my level, so I don't have to respect you. I can lie to you, I can fuck over you, I can cheat you, or whatever. I can do you raw in any kind of way. I can take your stuff. All of this because you're lesser than me anyway. You get what I'm saying? And that kind of attitude doesn't work anywhere.
No.
Right.
But for those who go with ill intent, and that's the biggest problem, is that's what our main government has pushed for. I think that because we don't really agree with that is one of the reasons why we should be having our own government here on like this land, and we can actually pull together more. Like we don't there's many other ways that we can get things done, but as long as we're subjects of the United States, like we can't even speak on anything, because we're owned. Like, well, I'm not me, but like the average person is still owned by the government. You're civil property, and you trying to fight against something, like they just take your ass to jail. You don't have human rights. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't really say anything. So we just got to get smarter about how we do move, and that way we can actually start to make a change somewhere. But if we keep looking and just pointing the finger, because this, like, people around the world is suffering because of what our tax dollars allows.
Let me play some more of this.
Cultural narrative about Israel where Palestinians and their history are front and center would also then require that we are honest about the violence that belies every part of the myth of American exceptionalism. Welcome to Backspace, where we tell you how the story is told in the headlines, and then we think about how we can tell it a little differently. The Jewish state, Israel was established as a state. In the 7 decades since Israel was established as a state in the British Mandate of Palestine, American engagement, ideological, political, cultural, with the Jewish state has seen different iterations. But at its core, these iterations have relied on being a mirror of the American nation. And in that mirroring, Israel has been assigned a duality as both the victim and victor. Israel is a victor, emerging from one of the cruelest crimes of the 20th century as a successful, unified people who have built a formidable nation despite thousands of years in a persecuted diaspora.
Modern Israel was born in the aftermath of the tragedy of the Holocaust. It was created to fulfill the long-standing dream of the Jewish people to return to the home of their biblical origins.
Israel is a beacon of democracy in a sea of violence and hostility.
Israel is the most important technology force in the world next to the United States.
Israel is a victim, surrounded by enemies who want to drive it into the sea.
Israel has a right to defend itself. Israel is surrounded by countries and entities that want to drive them into the sea.
Tensions are rising after the deadliest wave of Palestinian terror attacks inside Israel in years.
It has the right to eliminate the cancer that is threatening its very existence.
There are many reasons why the U.S. has this distinctive relationship with Israel, but I think the one that is most important is actually cultural. That is, we have a long history of representing Israel as being tied to U.S. interests, but also to U.S. values, to religious values and democratic values. Those representations have shaped most of us in one way or another to think of Israel as more than just a strategic ally or a good military partner.
For a cultural history that extols shared values, it must build those shared values in opposition to other ideas, other values, and in the case of state and nationalist identities, other people. U.S. news and popular media have built a case for Israel reliant on the disappearance of Palestinians and any claim they have to their land, on the disappearance of their history of ethnic cleansing, the theft of their lands, and their ever-expanding diaspora.
It's a time of... It sounds so familiar to me every time they say these words. It's like erasing their history, erasing any kind of connection to their land or rights to their land, you know, exterminating them, genociding them, you know. That's all sounds very familiar.
Of border trouble for Israel, and another incident on the Jordanian frontier results in a roundup of Arab infiltrators. Action that follows an attempt by these illegal entrants into the country to terrorize the Israeli populace living near this troubled line.
So then that's the other thing. Oh, they're immigrants. They're illegal immigrants. What the hell? Where did y'all come from? Aren't y'all new here? Like, that's why I ask people, where are your grandparents from? Oh, from somewhere else? Not from this land, huh? So then you talking about immigrants. You're a damn immigrant. What immigrants are you talking about? This and the news is always talking about here in the States, all these damn illegal immigrants. What do you the Aboriginal people are like, what the are you talking about?
The militant Arabs claimed a territorial
Same
right
people
to...
that live there and has been there for thousands of years are the illegal immigrants. Not you that just came here. You're not the it's so crazy.
But that's the same thing with black people here in America. You're more of an illegal immigrant than the ones who actually cross. Like, they at least have a true statehood. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got somewhere else they can go. Like, they claim that you don't have a home. Really?
Palestine that was 1,000 years old. But the determined leaders of Zionism pleaded a right that was even older.
4 Israeli settlers gunned down yesterday in the West Bank by Hamas, the Palestinian faction which opposes peace talks.
To return to Palestine would be to displace Israel.
We want to think about how Palestinians are not just entirely invisible, but made visible in a particular way, which is either as terrorists or as victims. If we think about the comparison between the United States as a settler colonial state and Israel as one, we can think about how people in the U.S. presented Native Americans. They were presented as disappearing, as not having political claims. You know, often people were very sad about what had happened to them, but what to do? Palestinians are not seen for a long time, but when they are seen, starting in the 1980s more, they begin to be seen as people who might have political claims, but the story of them is a story of people who are victims, who have a sad story, but Israel had to be Israel.
A counter narrative to the American story about Israel that would be told from the Palestinian vantage point would also indict the sustained American histories and realities of violence against its indigenous and Black populations. Thus, Palestinians must be made into, at best, pitiful victims caught as collateral in Israel's attempt to defend itself, and at worst, as generation after generation of terrorist threats.
It doesn't really matter what the Palestinians do.
What did they say about the so-called Indians? They were always raiding villages and terrorizing the freaking locals. But they don't tell the story that them locals had just posted up their house right in the backyard of these Aboriginal peoples that have been living there for thousands of years. Like, you just parked your
that's the part that they
built your fence in my backyard. Like, that's not cool. I'm not cool with that. Oh, they're terrorizing us. Oh my God. Why are they doing this? Because why are you here? What are you doing? You are violating my space. Fucking crazy.
That's they can blow up whomever they want to blow up. They can elect Hamas when given an opportunity to move forward. They can take one chance after another to recognize the state of Israel and their right to exist, and they will not do it.
Well, last few times that negotiations have taken place, the emphasis has been on asserting that Israel has been victimized by terrorist activities by Hamas, by the failure of the Palestinians to govern themselves.
In both and that's the other one they say, failure to govern themselves. They couldn't, we got to do it for them. I mean, they're not civilized. They're basically animals. You know, they can't govern themselves. So we had to come in and do it for them. You know, we're actually helping them out by colonizing here and taking their land and making them civilized and giving them language and work to do. What was they doing before we got here? Shit, they wasn't doing shit. We just gave them something to do. If you don't work, you don't eat.
Representations of Palestinians, the purpose of the state of Israel, the political status quo, and its carefully curated image remain intact. Even when Israeli crimes and transgressions beyond the expanding occupation, land theft, and apartheid are clear, Israel's moral authority isn't questioned. Questioning that moral authority is akin to questioning the necessity of Israel. So, how did we get to this point where deference to Israel's moral power is reflexive and unquestioned, a privilege not enjoyed by other countries and nations? It's too reductive to think that a pro-Israel lobby is alone in building Israel in the American landscape, that they alone have had this power. It's also not enough to look at U.S. foreign policy interests in the region as the sole determinant of Israel's narrative power in U.S. news and popular media.
That makes
Both
sense.
those things are central, of course, but what brings it all together is the cultural history of Israel in the United States, how Israel was understood by Americans in the aftermath of the Second World War, and how much of that has been a mirroring of how the United States sees itself. There's a tendency to believe that the horrors of the Holocaust are what led to American support and sympathy for the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine. But the late Dr. Amy Kaplan, in her 2018 book, Our American Israel, makes the argument that for Israel to be embraced by Americans, the idea of Israel had to be Americanized. She writes, Israel's proponents attributed New World meanings, symbols, and mythologies to a European movement to establish a Jewish polity in the Arab Middle East. They drew parallels between Mayflower pilgrims and Jewish pioneers in the familiar landscape of the biblical Promised Land, and they presented Zionist settlement as enacting American ideas of modern development.
In 1948, David Ben-Gurion, the George Washington of Israel, led his people and his country to independence.
And this mirroring, according to Kaplan, wasn't hard to do, especially when both shared a belief in their exceptionalism as signified by how they celebrated their anti-colonial origins, struggling against the British Empire and distancing themselves from the violent conquest at the center of their founding. Just as Indigenous peoples are erased from the founding of an America free from British colonizers, Palestinians are mostly disappeared in Israel's founding.
At the founding of the Israeli state, there was almost no recognition of Palestinians at all. Even the word Palestinian was often used to refer to Palestinian Jews, people who had moved there. Palestinian Arabs were all but invisible. They were talked about only as refugees. The idea that they even represented a national consciousness was nowhere to be seen. So it was the Israelis who had the narrative of decolonization and nationalism behind them.
They were refugees. That is so crazy, and it makes me so angry. How the hell are they a refugee? You just came here. I've been here for thousands of years. How am I a refugee? I've been here forever. Ugh.
While some major news media, like the New York Times, were vehemently anti-Zionist, the narrative of decolonization and nationalism was embraced by many non-Jewish American liberals and progressives. They saw a Jewish state as the perfect rebuke to Nazi fascism, paralleling the official narrative of the US's defeat of Nazi Germany. They also saw Israel as an actualization of socialist ideals, especially with the establishment of kibbutzim and the Soviet Union's initial support for Israel. The Nation, a left-leaning magazine, was home to some of the biggest and most active support of Israel, and helped create the blueprint for how the narrative of Israel will come to be embraced in the United States news media for the coming decades, even if the Nation evolved its own position on Israel over time. The Jewish Agency, founded by socialist Zionists who helped organize and fund Jewish immigration to Palestine, gave the Nation a grant of $50,000 in 1947 for the purposes of, quote, conducting research and publishing articles and reports and promoting the Zionist cause among American liberals and foreign delegates to the United Nations. Emboldened by this, its longtime editor, Freda Kirchway, dedicated the pages of the Nation and its entire publishing institution to lobbying for the Zionist cause. Between 1947 and 1954, the Nation Associates, which was responsible for publishing the magazine, produced 12 widely distributed reports campaigning for the Zionist cause. Kirchway even wrote a 133-page memorandum for the UN on behalf of the Nation, making the case for Israel and tying the Arab Palestinians to the Nazis, which became a mainstay of liberal arguments against Palestinian self-determination thanks to her efforts.
So the Palestinians are Nazis. You know, they're anti-Semitic. They just don't want Israel to exist. It's like, but wait, I've been here for thousands of years, chilling, doing what we doing. You just landed on my lap. I don't know nothing about no Nazis. I don't know nothing about Germany. I don't know nothing about Hitler. I don't give a fuck about that dude or none of that shit. But I'm a damn Nazi. I'm anti-Semite because I don't want you to camp in my backyard, because I don't want you to live in my house.
She ultimately even took credit for pushing the Truman administration into recognizing the State of Israel.
The Jews organized a government over there, and it's been a successful one ever since.
Now, Kirchway is just one of several examples of American media liberals and progressives who worked diligently and successfully alongside Zionist groups and leaders to make Israel into a liberal project and ideal that looked like the United States. And for every sentence dedicated to what a beacon and necessity Israel was as a pioneering nation of the so-called New Jew, there were many more dedicated to trumpeting the barbarity, jealousy, and backwardness of Arabs and Muslims. This early period of creating myths.
Same thing they said about the Indians or Native Americans, Aboriginal Americans. They're backward.
Around Israel isn't the only critical era in the cultural history of Israel in the United States, but it is the bedrock of how Israel comes to be essentially Americanized in the eyes of the public. This is the time where there is buy-in from Americans from all different backgrounds that, yeah, maybe Israel is necessary. Maybe Israel is good. And following this period, we see tourism to the land of the Bible, which had existed well before Israel's establishment, flourish throughout the 50s and 60s, as do epic biblical films and the relationship between Hollywood and Israel itself. The 60s in particular are bookended by two critical moments that guaranteed Israel's positioning in both an American consensus about its necessity and goodness and in the US's foreign policy future. The release of the 1960 film Exodus, which was supported by the Israeli government and based on the novel by Leon Uris, and Israel's quick victory over its neighbors in the war of June 1967.
I think the book Exodus resonated differently for different audiences. I think for non-Jewish people, the book, but especially the movie, tells the story of Israel in an American register. It tells the story of Israel as the settling of a frontier. 1967 is an incredible turning point in Americans' views of Israel. Almost every newspaper or magazine has some joke or comment about how maybe we need to bring Moshe Dayan over to end the Vietnam War. Israel takes on this new vision or new version of a myth in the U.S. as an invincible and admired military power. So that image that emerges after 1967, that the U.S. should be both with Israel and like Israel in terms of foreign policy, I think is one of the structuring realities to this day in how many people think about Israel.
Palestinians during these years more or less disappear from having any claim only significantly reappearing as so-called terrorists with high-profile acts of violence, like the 1972 Munich massacre of 11 Israeli coaches and athletes, and then as victims in 1982, with the Israeli-backed massacre of Palestinian refugees in the Sabra and Shatila camps of Lebanon. And in Our American Israel, Dr. Amy Kaplan also, and most emphatically, notes that while we saw decades of Israel being Americanized for an American audience, following 9/11, we see an Israelization of the United States. We see a
I want to kind of go back a bit because earlier she was talking about those movies, and Dave Chappelle in his monologue mentioned them having a lot of people. He said he went to Hollywood and there's a lot of Jewish people there, is what he said. And it's like, okay, so it's the propaganda machine for Israel is Hollywood, and you know the awesome image that we have of them is related to a lot of these big blockbuster movies that they have curated for their audience to make sure that it leads to people being sympathetic to them. You know,
shift from the long-held, quote, admiration of Israel as a mirror of America's idealized self-image to emulation of Israel as a model for fighting America's worst nightmares.
It may take a century, 2 centuries, 3 centuries, but we will exterminate you.
Now, while there have been moments of sympathetic visibility of Palestinians in U.S. news media, there hasn't been a staking of the legitimacy of Palestinian claims. Israel, as it exists, always requires that its legitimacy, existence, and moral authority be upheld. So a Palestinian narrative about the Nakba, about apartheid, about the refugees and land theft hasn't even been allowed to be written in American cultural history. And that's been for many reasons, like Israel as an arm of American empire, anti-Muslim and Arab sentiments as fundamental to Israel's case for legitimacy, evangelical eschatology that's anti-Semitic, and of course the fact that the majority of American Jews fall into the category of whiteness. So how can journalists in U.S. news media engage with Israel and its role in U.S. history in a way that is honest and adheres to the basic principles of journalism?
So that's the basic undercurrent. It's whiteness. You know, they get to be accepted into this all-encompassing view of, you know, light-skinned Europeans, if you will. You know, they have more legitimacy, you know, to this land that is mostly brown people, brown and black people, you know, but they're Arab or they're, you know, they're lesser, so they don't have rights, you know. So and that is the camaraderie. That is the basic, you know, thing that holds Israel and United States together.
Like punching up and never down. Well, it involves a lot of reimagining of how we've embraced Israel and disappeared Palestinians for 7 decades, based on whose humanity we've determined is worth more because of how it looks like ours.
I think there is a question of why it has been so hard for Americans to imagine that Palestinians have an absolute right to self-determination, that Palestinians, as much as anybody else, has the right to represent themselves, to have some kind of sovereign control over their lives. It is a bit shocking to me that it's been so hard for Americans to understand that. But I think it's a combination of Islamophobia, even though many Palestinians are Christian, many are Muslim, and that Islamophobia gets in the way.
In the pilot episode of Backspace back in May 2021, we broke down the sort of language that contemporary news media uses in coverage of Israeli occupation and apartheid, language that obfuscates not only the daily crimes committed by the Israeli state, but also the realities that Palestinians have experienced since 1948. But language is easier to revisit and rectify than an entire moral framework built on not only shared values, but ideations about a shared so-called Judeo-Christian heritage, about shared myths of revolution, about shared pioneering and shared exceptionalism. Good journalism about Israel that does what it's supposed to do doesn't separate Israel from its position as an occupying state and from its origins as a European settler colonial project born out of a European movement led by European Jews. Good journalism about Israel doesn't ignore what sustains Israel's existence as it is: the apartheid, Gaza as an open-air prison, the ever-expanding settlements, the checkpoints, the land theft, the incarcerations and killings of Palestinian youth, in addition to so much else that is meant to ensure that Palestinians never can have self-determination. Good journalism doesn't ignore Palestinians and doesn't question or belittle their claims to nationhood, resistance, and return when it does offer them some semblance of humanity and coverage. But for that kind of good journalism to happen, it needs to untangle and deconstruct the myths that tie together Israeli and American exceptionalisms. Otherwise, our journalism guarantees that those myths, which are used to justify the cruelties that sustain both Israel and the United States, are strengthened.
Freaking journalism. We don't have any journalism. Journalism is dead. Let me read some more comments. It says, this is a comment underneath the video. It says, I love how everything you say makes common sense. Another comment, it says, they want to talk about topics. Hold on. They're still saying topics. Another one, I appreciate your work and raise the truth, raise the voice for oppressing Palestinians. Inshallah, Allah will give you and your team its reward in this life and hereafter, and Palestinians will get freedom from Israel occupation. Hopefully, but right now it doesn't look like that. So with my lights. Another comment, it says, thank you for revealing the truth. Please keep it up. Palestinians deserve to be respected and supported by Western nations. This is an injustice. It's a huge crime, and everyone who turns a blind eye is a part of the problem. Another comment, it says, this story just keeps getting deeper and deeper. I can see why it's such a touchy subject. Another comment, it says, great journalism. I love it. This is great journalism. This is actual journalism right here. I read another comment, it says, you cannot continue to victimize someone else just because you yourself were a victim once. There has to be a limit. God damn, like, fuck. Let me read another comment. It says, thank you. I've missed your broadcast. There are so many conflicts unjust around the world, but Palestine really needs your journalism more than ever. There just isn't anyone else broadcasting to the world. Please keep it up, and we'll try to get the message out as far as we can. Another comment, I really appreciate the honesty in this channel. Reminds me every time why I subbed in the first place. Thank you for informing people like me. Another comment, being a Pakistani, I support Palestine and Palestinian people. Keep aside religion. What a violence, brutal action has been done by Israel. It has to pay one day indeed. Another comment, it says, illuminating. The hardest thing is always to see ourselves objectively. And it seems that Americans start from a place of seeing Israelis as themselves. Therefore, they don't see the crimes against humanity and international law that are committed by Israel right in front of them, with funding and tactic support from U.S. This also explains Israel's anomalous position as wealthy state that is the largest beneficiary of U.S. aid many times over, as if it is not really another country, but simply a part of America. Another comment, it says, the UN held its 30th annual vote condemning ending the American embargo of Cuba. Every country, 185, voted in favor, exception of 2, USA and Israel. Another comment, it says, this is very well done. I don't agree with everything and see both sides of the debate. I think the biggest issue in both Israelis and Palestinians believe that looping their narratives to foreign countries will resolve the conflict. It won't. The only way to resolve the conflict is for Israelis and Palestinians to continue bilateral talks. This will happen, but Israel won't do it until Palestinians appoint a successor for Abbas for 3 reasons. Bullshit. Who are you? I'm gonna read the rest of your comment, but who the hell are you, man? Because they got whoever they elect, they're gonna be like, oh, it's Hamas. But see, these people are angry at the situation, so of course everybody feels that way. They all feel that way. The Palestinians feel that way. So Hamas represents a good amount of the Palestinians that live over there, even though the way he goes about it, maybe they don't agree with. But of course, like you're occupying them, you're torturing them, you're killing them. Like for them to defend themselves, they're a bad person. Anyways, it says this will happen, but Israel won't do it until Palestinian appoints a successor for Abbas for 3 reasons. Practically speaking, Abbas is too old and weak now. Number 2, it says Palestinians themselves don't view him as a legitimate representative, and therefore any deal made with Abbas today could be challenged by a subsequent legitimate Palestinian government. 3, this raises a third and most important point. Who are the Palestinians that are authorized to make a comprehensive peace agreement with Israel? Who are the legitimate leaders to have a summit with? It is as simple as the PA and Hamas. There are no contemporary elections, and it's hard to know who represents the actual Palestinian people. Ironically, the Palestinian leadership with the most credibility are the Palestinians who have seats in Knesset because they are voted in. All that said, yes, Palestinians' lives matter, and there will be peace in our lifetimes. Not with the way you're talking, buddy. You're not helping at all. You're pushing in the whole other direction, and I don't think you really want peace at all. So I think that you're full of shit wherever you are. Talking about, ironically, the Palestinian leadership with the most credibility are the Palestinians who have seats in the Knesset because they are voted in. So you're saying that the rest of the Palestinians or whoever they choose or the leadership doesn't have any credibility. That's how you feel because you feel like these people are lesser. So of course, none of them have any credibility as in your point of view, unless they are, have been co-opted by the people who think like you or becomes a part of the group of the people that thinks like you, then therefore they have legitimacy. But if they don't think like that, you're disregarding the whole rights of the Palestinians. You're acting like they shouldn't have, like, you guys are forgetting that these people have been there before y'all came there. Like, anyways, let me read a couple more comments. That comment had me emotional. It says, this is the best report that summarizes all of the factors driven U.S. to unconditionally support Israel. I always try to understand this issue, but I couldn't get the full picture. But this video gave me answer to my long-during question. Thanks for studying, job. I could barely understand what you were saying. Another comment, it says, Sanya never fails to make amazing, informative videos. Great job. I think it was a great video, too. Another comment, wow, so basic, but really thought-provoking. I love these backspace episodes. They truly are eye-opening. Another comment, it says, I believe in the idea that the control of the narrative is important in politics. The rise of populism in the West is a tragic example. But still, I wanted to know more about why Israel has become so important to the United States in relation to other countries. There are several countries in both Latin America, Africa, and Asia that have myth-making about settlers who came to a harsh country and built a successful nation. What separated Israel from them? That is a very good question. So there has to be more to the story, right? More to the story than just the idea of these people going through the same thing as the settler colonialism, what I was saying earlier. So yeah, there has to be more to it than just them being European too, because yeah, there's probably other stories around the world. I need to think about that. I'm gonna meditate on that a bit and come back to that because that was a very, very good question right there. I want to post this. I want to copy this. One second. Let me post this. He said, I wanted to know more about why Israel has become so important to the United States in relation to other countries. You know, that is a very, very, very good question. You know, we sell weapons to them, but we sell weapons to a lot of countries. Let me read another comment. It says, maybe look into Scotland's desire. Oh, they're telling, okay, they're giving more options for the shows. I'm getting tired now, so I'm about to wrap it. Let me see. Is there something here that I wanted to get to? Tom Brady and Larry David among those named in the FTX crypto suit. That's interesting. They were probably victims. A lot of people lost money though, so they're gonna go at the biggest names who had their name involved in anything, and people who have a lot of money. So if you're gonna sue somebody with some money. So it says Tom Brady and Larry David among those named in FTX crypto suit. It's funny because Pat was saying about the how similar this is to Enron, and that really just struck me. I'm still thinking about that. It's so similar. Let me see. Fetterman. What is this one? Democrat Chris Paulus won his CT House race by a single vote. And that was in Connecticut. That's some crazy shit. So the point of that is they're just trying to say that each vote does count. Like, go ahead and vote because this guy won by one vote. He won a House Senate race in Connecticut, I want to say. That's crazy. One vote? Shit, if I'm the guy who lost, I definitely want to recount. Yeah, I'm fucked up. Yeah, we better make sure everybody did their shit right. Cause I'll be damned. This nigga won by one vote. Somebody got robbed.
I think it's just winning is winning. Period. Like, you know, like it shouldn't be like I don't know, like
Yeah, man.
Just
one vote, man. That's crazy. It's supposed to get cold and rainy this weekend. Are you gonna be in that shit? You finna drive, right? Or you said you was headed back home. You're not gonna be on the road this weekend?
looks like I will. I'm in Florida right now and gotta get back into Texas, but I hadn't been able to really find no load that's gonna really get me straight there. So, but
it's a winter storm hitting, and it's really kind of we're finna have a rough winter this winter in the States, but we're finna have an icy, cold weekend here in Houston, and they said this post right here, it says potentially historic lake effect snowstorm ahead for Great Lakes. So they're getting a snowstorm I think it's this weekend too on the Great Lakes.
Interesting.
Yep, y'all be careful out there. Can you see the screen? Check this out. There's a person riding motorcycle. I guess he's wrong because he's not in a full lane. And the lady opens her car door and it knocks him off his motorcycle, and under a truck. Luckily, he's lived through that because if he'd have been under that tire, he might not have made it. But he fell like right in the middle of the truck. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy turn of events right there. People don't care, man. People don't pay attention. I mean, I guess you can't completely blame her because he wasn't in a lane. But at the same time, you got traffic coming by when you parallel park like that. You could be here in Houston and legally parallel parking, and if you open your car door at the wrong time, a car can be legally driving and still hit it. So you should be aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of thing happens a lot. I want to play this right quick.
Be my peace, be my peace. The peace that they want is a doormat, a dunce bat, and somebody who's doltish. And there's only one type of D divine people relate to.
Yeah, so she's saying, be my peace. But really, it's like she's saying that those chicks are toxic when they're saying that because they don't want nobody to check them. And she's saying that if you run into a real one, they're going to check you. And someone that cares about you and loves you, they're going to check you. If you don't want to ever be checked, then you don't really want to be in a real serious relationship with someone.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It says, she said, the irony is these same people won't, going too fast and I'm tired. And I can't stop it. Why can't I stop it? Oh, it says, when you're engaging with people who are emotionally intelligent, assertive communicators with solid sense of self, everything that is said appears to be disruptive. The reality is you haven't done the work to meet them on their level to maintain a peaceful environment.
Sometimes when people say, be my peace, the peace that they want is a doormat, a dunce bat, and somebody who's doltish. And there's only one type of D divine people relate to.
It says, be my peace. How when you're not even on your own peace? Let's be honest. The peace some people say they want is a yes man to their foolishness. It says the irony is the same people want a certain caliber of woman, but don't possess the qualities to engage in a healthy manner with said man, woman. She's on fire with this. She said, when you're engaging with people who are emotionally intelligent, assertive communicators with solid sense of self, exhibiting that is said appears to be, it says, when you're engaging with people who are emotionally intelligent, assertive communicators with a solid sense of self, everything that is said appears to be disruptive. The reality is you haven't done the work to meet them on their level to maintain a peaceful environment. So basically what she's saying is that, like, you know, someone who's
sometimes when
about
people
their
say,
life,
be my peace,
they're gonna check you. So, you know, when you get out of line, they're gonna be like, man, that's being ridiculous or whatever. Like, and I had this kind of conversations with people before too, is like the ones that cannot admit when they were wrong, or they can't go back on it at all. They can't freaking see the truth of themselves at all. Any kind of criticism, positive criticism, any kind of like anything that could help them improve their character, they don't want to hear it. They feel like they're already perfect. They're already where they need to be. You can't tell me nothing. I'm already like who I am. You can't, who are you to tell me anything? Well, we're in a relationship. So, that's what makes me someone to tell you, and I care about you. So, stop doing what you're doing. You're wrong. It's like, I'm wrong. You're wrong. Anyways, that's the damn.
You are wrong.
Man, that's the world
I'm
out
right.
here.
I'm right, and I can't get no righter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me do this one right quick before I go. Can I go to this? Good. It says, because they're talking about Haiti, and then other people were talking about the Congo being related to the Wakanda movie. I can't even think of the name of it right now. Return to Wakanda, whatever. I don't even care to see that movie. They're talking about some damn fish people and stuff. Like, I don't have no, I'll wait for it to come out. It says Haiti, the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere. It says the gold Columbus was looking for, they found it recently. $20 billion, silver, copper, iridium, and oil. More oil than Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. Puts Haiti in the top 1% of the wealthiest nations on earth. And then it says something's not adding up. It says Hollywood call it vibranium. Our native ancestors call it iridium. Iridium is one of the most, if not the most, rare metal found to man. The other nations, including our African ancestors, came to this land with war in mind. The Africans, Europeans, French, and more traveled to the Americas with intentions to raid its resources for selfish gain. In voodoo, we pay homage to nature and serve nature. We don't serve man as done in religious indoctrinations. Haiti is not the poorest country. It's a remnant of Atlantis, being one of the richest, if not the most. Black peoples in America are born of indigenous mother, hybrid of African, while many other countries are mixtures of our indigenous ancestry and French, Spanish, European, and more. The native mulattoes who were passed down to us in modern history is just that. Mulatto mixed with other cultures. Bottom line, we are family, and we must not write the original copper-colored native out of the picture. We've been here. Anyways, I think that's it for today. I'm going to try to do a show during the day just because tomorrow. I don't know what time, but I got some stuff I got to do. And after I do that, I'm going to do a day show. At least that's my plan. We'll see what happens. But anyway, shit. That's it for today. We almost at 3 hours. Peace and love, y'all. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for listening.
Peace and love.
Hopefully it was some edutainment going on, some entertainment and education. Hopefully you learned something. All right, man.
All right.
Peace. Have a good one. Get you some rest, bro.